But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
He said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Monday night. It's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We got a doozy for you tonight. Speaking of upside downs, I tell you what, watching the news cycles very closely, you start to see patterns, right? You start to see patterns in things of maybe things that are maybe synchronistic, maybe things that are out of whack. And they happen in, let's say they come in bunches sometimes. It's strange. It's super strange to me that... I don't know. It seems like maybe things tend to be either orchestrated or things tend to be maybe following a natural process of, a natural agitated process from human hubris, sort of, with through laboratories and kind of tweaking with the not the zeitgeist per se, but let's say just a natural process of the world itself. It seems like, people can say that people in general are, let's say, a little madness themselves, right? We're kind of locked in this psychosis of lefty-righty BS of just a bunch of stuff that, the propaganda is one thing, okay? But of course, the propaganda is a shield. The propaganda is an obfuscation of what's actually happening out there, not just in the, let's say, the people world, the world of the people, right? Of the people, by the people, for the people, that world. No, it seems like it's an obfuscation. The actual interest of propaganda is an obfuscation of our interest in the natural world, and of course the natural world being the proper let's say God mechanisms of Earth. Whether you believe in God or not, I'm not. It's not. This isn't about that. This is about more of like nature, Mother Nature, and sort of tampering. And it's like I said, you watch some of these news cycles, and some of the things you see are disturbing. It's like birds dying in mass, or like Joseph said in the chat when we started, birds just smacking into windows, or I mean, there's some weird stuff out there. And if shout out to good buddy Night Stalker, Derek in Massachusetts, he's been saying in the Discord for quite a while now too that there's something up with these animals. There's something going on, right? So as always, shout out to Troubled Minds fam out there for inspiring show after show after show, and just getting together and putting minds together and considering big questions, okay? And of course, big answers are not necessarily my game, but I think big questions are certainly my game. And tonight we got some big questions for you. Before we get into that, of course, this is live. We do this live to include you. All the imperfections, the ums and the ahs, or me thinking on the fly and all the rest of this, that's less important than the conversation, the questions that are raised, and just the people talking to each other. And that means you. If you can hear me out there, it's Monday night. We're sometime in the middle of May. I'll give you the exact date if you want it. It's May 9th, and tax season is faded, come and gone. The tears have dried, and now we've moved on to other things. Spring is here, and with spring being here, it makes you wonder about the natural process, if you know what I'm saying. But we're doing this live to include you. Like I said, I don't have any inside sources, and secret laboratory scientists that are feeding me information, or any government insiders, or any of the rest of that. I've never had any of that. It's just me just looking at news cycles, trying to come up with interesting things, sometimes disturbing things. Again, what's the point of having a troubled mind if you don't talk about disturbing things? But I think too, for people that are new, we're picking up new and interesting individuals listening to the show all the time. So if you're new to this, keep in mind that a troubled mind doesn't mean a negative mind. If you're a troubled mind, it means that you recognize the world around us is, let's say, on the precipice in many ways. Okay, so just a troubled mind doesn't mean the world is burning. It doesn't mean that we're all going to die. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, things change quickly, and you don't have a say. You don't have an ability to say, stop, this is enough. It's telling, again, governments, academia, the news media, just all these individuals that somehow just miss the forest for the trees when it comes to so many important and critical things. It is what it is, right? So anyway, like I said, this is my long-winded way of saying this is a conversation. It's my job to bring up a topic and some questions. It's your job to tell me what you think, because of course this show is our show. It's not about, like I always say, you don't have to be Linda Moulton Howe or Richard Dolan or anybody like that. You don't have to have a UFO blog or anything else. You just have to be you. Regular people just talking about, let's say, big ideas. That's what this show's always been about. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, like I said, my inside sources are not anybody. Well, they're somebody, because that somebody is you. The actual secret weapon of troubled minds is you. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you onto the show. It's as simple as that. And I'll be nice to you too. I've got a very, very long track record of being nice to people that call, so you don't have to worry about that. If you're shy on the telephone, shy on the radio, I got you. You got me. Hey, if you got me to call, I got you to back you up if you need a minute to parse your thoughts and give us your coherence. It's no problem. I'm here for you. So there we go. So as we start, 702-957-1037, troubleminds.org. Click the Discord link at the official website, and we'll put you on there as well. We've got Discord running. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's like an old school AOL chat room, if you guys remember that. And it's pretty awesome because you can share ideas there. You can it's almost like a telephone. It's you could use it that way. You can use it so many different ways, and share photographs or videos or you name it. You can live stream directly on Discord. It's an incredible free program. And did I mention it's free? All you need is an internet connection. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Come say hi. Come meet all the amazing people that are part of the show. All right, so including me, I'm very active on Discord as well. Okay, so what we're doing tonight, what we got? So we got that. We're streaming. Like I said, we're doing this live. So we're streaming on Rockfin. Rockfin. What's up, Rockfin fam? I see you guys out there. Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And I'm watching chat in all of those places, including the Fringe Discord. If you haven't joined the Fringe Discord, please do that. Fringe.fm/chat. That's digital radio. That's a Discord's the same program, just a different chat room. I'm watching all the chat rooms because I got mad skills, and I'm seeing everybody in all the places and trying to incorporate your thoughts into the show as we go. I think that's the beauty of doing it live and being able to read all the different chats in all the different places as you see some of those discussions happening about what we're talking about tonight. So there you go. So please join the fringe.fm/chat. Also, please download the Fringe app. You can find that at, of course, your Apple or Android app stores. It's completely free. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, and you just smash the play button at precisely 7 o'clock on Monday through Thursday Pacific time. You'll get me, you'll get us, you'll get Troubled Minds, and you'll get a good conversation, hopefully. All right, so let's get to this now. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on in the zeitgeist, right? There's all kinds of weird stuff happening in these nude. See what I did there? These news cycles. It's odd. It's almost like, spring. They say, about spring is hope. Spring is renewal. Spring is right. Spring is so many things. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm thriving. Like even if it felt kind of like crummy through the winter, spring sort of has that touch in it that you smell the flowers and you hear the birds, and you know what I mean. It's empowering. Spring to me is sort of that empowering. It has an aspect to it, okay. And interestingly enough, spring in those terms, right, is when this show started. Again, it's been just a little over 4 years, but it kind of finally found the courage one spring 4 years ago to put together a radio show and to get out there and make it happen. Right, it was no accident that it happened in the first week of April, right, because it was who wants to start something new and scary in a dark winter? Boo, the dark winter. Okay, but looking through the news cycles, check this out. And there's all kinds of stuff. We'll start here, right? Because we did this on the news show today, but I think this is an interesting way to start this one. Talking about sort of messing with nature, all right? Playing God. We're talking about playing God tonight, all right? And not just playing God in terms of this with de-extinction, but what about playing God in terms of GMO mosquitoes? What about playing God in terms of, let's say, even GMO food, right? Playing God in terms of everything. I mean, there's so much out there that's going on. Like geoengineering is another one. It's just like, now come on, are humans really that bad that the world we live in cannot just be a natural world? We have to, what would you call it? I think I'm just thinking about it right now. It's dawning on me, and I wish I had this thought 2 hours ago, because this show would have been called something different. But, it's like this push for transhumanism in humans. It's like we need to be something else. Like humans are no longer good enough. Humans they have to have a chip in them. They have to have, a half cyborg. They have to be, the texting with your thumbs is just far too slow. You need Neuralink in your head. But what about nature? I mean, it just seems like people can't just not meddle with things, and we're destroying it. We're destroying nature, that's for sure. Again, the oceans are, acidic, and the coral reefs are dying, and there's all this stuff, and we're pouring just radioactive water from Fukushima straight into the ocean, and it just becomes. It becomes depressing when you see how much just horrific stuff we're doing to the environment, we're doing to nature in general, right? But then also, how come we can't stop tampering? We just can't keep our damn hands off of anything as like a human society. It's crazy. It is crazy sauce, right? So here's one. All right, let's go to this. This is from Quantum Magazine, and this is pretty good stuff. And it's talking about this, right? De-extinction. Okay. Now, de-extinction, we've talked about this on this show several times in the past, but I think it's pertinent because it just keeps coming up. It just keeps coming up. It's like, hey, do we really need the woolly mammoth to be back? Right? Do we really need? Is it a better world if we have we unextinct the dodo bird, right, or the carrier pigeon, or right? I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should extinct things and it's good, right? But what I am saying is exactly like this article says. We'll get to in a sec. If you can bring these individuals back, these individual species back, you're not even bringing them back. You're bringing back this bizarre sort of Frankenstein version of these things. It's not even the same thing anymore. It's okay. It's absolutely nuts. All right. No, hear me out. Now this gets crazy because it's not just de-extinction. It gets to everything else. It gets to the GMO stuff, the mosquitoes they're just throwing out there to, say, oh, we're combating malaria. Here's, 10 billion GMO mosquitoes in Florida and California. That's fine, right? This is fine. This should be no problem. Well, okay, we're going to get to that a little bit later, but check this out. Let's just go straight here. The Quantum Magazine. Why de-extinction is impossible. All right? But could work anyway. All right? Okay, fine. How come it's both? How come it's impossible, but it could work? Well, let me tell you. Let me just read a little bit about this. This is from Dr. Gilbert, Thomas Gilbert. He wrote a paper in Current Biology, and he says this. Look. Quote, look, this is the best case scenario. The samples of DNA from the extinct species were relatively new and well preserved because they're talking about the Christmas Island rat, okay, which has been extinct. And they're talking about de-extinction for this Christmas Island rat. And he says the samples of DNA from the extinct species were relatively new and well preserved, all right, because they went extinct in the late 19th or 20th centuries, all right, but it's even very closely related to the standard brown Norway rat, for which there's abundant DNA reference data, all right. We're talking about de-extinction in rats. We're talking about the Christmas Island rat and then this Norway rat, all right. He continues, this is a far cry from trying to figure out the DNA of some jungle cat from the Pleistocene era, let alone a dinosaur. Reconstructing the extinct rat's genome should have been relatively simple. All right. It should be an easy thing because we have not just, let's say, a modern reference point here with, 18th, 19th, 20th century sort of extinction in these Christmas Island rats, right? But we have another thing where we have like a very, very common ancestor still alive today to the Christmas Island rat. All right. Okay. But then there's the whole other problem because they're saying that, here you go, yet despite their best efforts, the scientists were unable to recover nearly 5% of the Christmas Island rat's genome. Many of the missing genes were related to immunity and olfaction, two highly important functions for the animal. He continues, quote, it's not just the irrelevant stuff that you're not going to get back, Gilbert said. And so what you'll end up with is nothing like what went extinct. All right. And there it is. There's the crux of this. All right. The issue here is it's not about bringing back the woolly mammoth. OK, because you can't. By all accounts, it's impossible. Even we bring this up a lot because of the idea of Jurassic Park, right? Bringing back the velociraptors and the brontosaurus and the tyrannosaurus and the T-Rex and all the things, right? And you're like, yeah, I want to hop in the car. I want to look through the electrified gate and I want to see, like an African safari. I want to see the T-Rex, Well, even if we could, all right, it wouldn't be a T-Rex at all. It would be like a Frankenstein T-Rex. Right? Again, in 18th, 19th, 20th century, the Christmas Island rat goes extinct. All right? We have a basis for a very, very similar genetic rat still alive. And still, we could only get within 95%. We still cannot even recreate the extinct Christmas Island rat. And it's recent history, right? So what about the woolly mammoth? Like, think about that. They've talked about it in terms of all the rest of that stuff, right? Bringing back the woolly mammoth, and then they have to like match the DNA with the elephant and whatever its closest living relative is, and they're like mixing and matching. That's not a woolly mammoth at all, is it? You're going to make like a modern Frankenstein furry ass elephant. That's what you're going to make, right? And does that make any sense to you? So it's not even about bringing back or de-extinction in and of itself. It's about creating a Frankenstein trans-animalistic monster. Like, you talk about Frankenstein's monster, Mary Shelley, right? It's alive, right? Frankenstein's monster. Well, this is going to be woolly mammoth's monster. Or even in the case of the Christmas Island rat, the rat monster. Are you kidding me? Okay, so fine. They're not going to stop trying this, okay? Because, of course, we seem to have this morbid fascination with bringing back extinct species. Okay, but it also starts to ask these other questions regarding, of course, back to the Jurassic Park thing, the chaos theory. Ian Malcolm, of course, played by, what's his name, Jeff Goldblum, and that, if you guys have seen the original. He had some fantastic points. And it's basically about bioethics and playing God in nature. That's what he was talking about. That's the entire premise of that movie. And of course, they glitz it up with dinosaurs and action scenes and, great CGI and all the rest of that. But that's not what the movie's about. The movie's about bioethics, playing God, and should we? Right? That's what Jurassic Park, that whole series is about. But you see what happens, right? Even in those terms, right? In Jurassic Park, they replaced it with frog DNA, and they were so smart. They were so smart. They're like, oh, look, you can't have breeding out of control in Jurassic Park because we made all of the animals, all the dinosaurs, animals, quote, quote, the attractions, we made all the attractions female. So there's no chance for out-of-control breeding. It can only be done in the park under, the actual test tubes and, all the rest of that stuff, right? Like the way they did it, the DNA splicing and the whole deal, right? But again, of course, like me and Malcolm in Jurassic Park said, nature finds a way. And so we have this bizarre thing happening. We'll get to GMO mosquitoes a little bit later, where we think that, sort of controlling things like, gender diversity in nuisance pests, mosquitoes, right? Nuisance insects. And I don't know, all this stuff, the more I read about this stuff, the more it really unnerves me, okay? So some questions for you tonight, all right? I know I'm rambling a little bit extra here, but I think that, we'll get to the rest of that. It doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. So the questions tonight are this, right? There's a whole lot going on in nature, all right? A whole lot. And a whole lot before people ever, had a laboratory in a test tube, all right? Ever. So we're talking about, let's say, again, standard model and all the rest of this, millions of years of evolution, all right? Millions, even billions in some cases, right? So the question becomes, how much meddling is too much meddling? I'm calling this tonight a natural madness. And not just madness itself. What about if the tinkering we're doing, not just with the natural process itself, we're actually causing some sort of rift in, I don't know, maybe the zeitgeist of the animals. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff with animals recently. And so is that related to us and our mismanagement of the ecosystem at large? And how far can we press this before, it turns upside down and inside out and gets tossed off the cliff? That's the question tonight. There's a lot of questions, but how much playing God is too much playing God? GMO mosquitoes, that far enough for you? What about the idea of de-extinction and bringing back not just the Christmas rat? What about maybe the woolly mammoth or something further in the past? What about a Frankenstein version of, a brontosaurus? Is that a step too far for you? So the question becomes, the human hubris. How much is too much? And in the end, is this detrimental not just to the animal kingdom and the, let's say, animal zeitgeist? I love that idea, that it's maybe weakening their strength in the natural process because we're kind of causing them, a confusion, a state of confusion, or that natural madness. I don't know. How far is too far? That's the question tonight. And of course, is it, again, GMO stuff? Is it de-extinction? How far is too far? There's a whole lot of stuff to talk about tonight. But that's what's on my mind. And it doesn't seem to be something that's going to go away. Geoengineering, is that too far? Is that a step too far? We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And, there we go. Welcome to Troubled Minds. So again, those are the questions regarding human hubris, the natural, let's say, cycle of the earth, and, the natural madness that seems to be ensuing. If you pay attention, it's happening. What about the honeybees? Right? There's a whole lot going on with that. I'm just kind of going down the thing in my mind, checking off this, that, the other thing. What do you think? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. How far is too far with human hubris, playing God, and a natural madness? Love to hear your thoughts. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Coming up. Be right back. Love to hear your thoughts. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of a natural madness. Meaning, of course, how much playing God and meddling in the natural process is too much for you. Meaning, GMO mosquitos, meaning de-extinction, meaning, let's say, geoengineering, meaning, well, GMO foods. At what point have we literally meddled with the earth so much and so far that it is no longer the earth of old, but it is the earth of new? We talk about transhumanism and saying that humans are no longer good enough, right? In the eyes of, well, let's see, the handlers, the controllers, the powers that be, right? The billionaires, the technocrats of the planet, unelected officials that are filthy rich and can do whatever the hell they want, right? So at what point is too much? Humans aren't good enough. Nature is not good enough. Humans, of course, are terrible in their own right because, of course, we're just destroying the natural world for what? Not again, missing the forest for the trees, not realizing that we're here because of the natural world, not aside and separate from it. We're here because of it. And, well, how much, I guess there's another question, too. How much is too much for you, and how much do you think is too much for Mother Nature? Before Mother Nature claps back and says, no. Too much. Too much is too much. And you people need to go somewhere else. And makes us go somewhere else. Love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this? GMO mosquitoes, again, de-extinction, let's say the woolly mammoth or others, the carrier pigeon, whatever, the Christmas Island rat, or, well, what about geoengineering? How much is too much? And do you think at some point Mother Nature will clap back? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joe in Florida. What's up, my friend? Welcome to Trouble Minds. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. I turned in a few minutes late, so I don't know how much of the article you may have read, but living in Florida and listening to the local community radio, for what it's worth, fake news, but not really. This is the second round of genetically modified mosquito release. They're going to do it down in the Keys. I don't know if you read the article. Like I said, I literally just walked back to the door and saw that this was the topic. So if you did read the article, if you didn't, I don't know if you added or know that they're releasing a second round of these mosquitoes without having published the data from the first round.
That is correct.
Things that make you go, huh?
That is correct. Not only that, so we're going to get to that. We haven't actually got to the mosquitoes yet, but it's okay because it is on point tonight. They've got this actual company called Oxitec, all right? And that's the company that's doing it, not just here. Like Joe said, they released them in Florida, all right? This was like a year ago. And now they're going to release billions more in California, all right? Without, just like you said, releasing the actual data on that. But it goes further back than that, right? Because, of course, they did this in South America, right? Because Zika and the rest of that stuff, and the dengue fever in Brazil. I mean, they're trying to combat this the world over, and those are the hot spots, right? But again, without the full access to this data, they're just plowing ahead. So not just the data from South America, but the data from last year in Florida. But so there you go. Just to catch us up, go right ahead.
So, I would say that all of that could set a legal precedent for other types of engineering in larger scales. If this data stays private and that sets a precedent, any environmental agency or grassroots environmentalism, and again, I'm just coming up with these thoughts right now because I haven't prepared notes or nothing, but that's a dangerous, once again, science taking off, not so much before ethics, but I guess ethics is a big part of it, but before we even know the results of any of this. The thought hit me a couple of weeks ago, whether we look at COVID and vaccines and things and whatever your opinion is, aside from that, we have a rise in biologics to take care of autoimmune disorders. Okay? So, to give you an example, when I was reading up on Crohn's disease, they say that you could get Crohn's from a simple virus. So here we are with these biologic medicines that suppress the immune system for certain things. This is kind of going off a little bit of track, but in a way not. Because if we keep modifying everything from our genetics, these might be miracle medicines for autoimmune disorders. However, maybe the autoimmune disorders would have turned on so early had we not been modifying every damn thing that we put in our mouths that we see. And when we talk about aliens coming back in time, honestly, maybe it is us. Maybe we've modified us. Maybe this place gets so modified that there's no going back to the original DNA samples or genetic cultures, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. That's what I'm saying. So at some point we've meddled with humanity, right? We've meddled with the natural process, and we're dropping GMO mosquitoes by the billions into the actual just the world at large to like some sort of like sick experiment. And I mean, this is not without risk. It's just like that whole talk about geoengineering and that whole thing. Right. It's like, hey, there's risk there. Like if something turns unforeseen next week and you've done this, it's too freaking late. You can't go collect 1 billion mosquitoes back. That's not happening, is it?
No, it's not. And, in the X-Files movie, that was that first movie with the bees. It's been a long time. But when the bees go, we go. Right? Unless we have some kind of drones that are that small that could do the pollinating for us. And that would be even scarier because that's even tighter control of the food supply. If you started to co-opt bees with a drone of some kind, right? So, you want genetically modified seeds. I think I've said it on this show before. A friend of mine owns property in North Florida. And I never knew her to be such a conspiracy person, but she's like, Bill Gates is buying up the property up here. And I'm like, come on. Come on. And you read about it that he's diversifying and everything else, but she sends me something from the tax appraisers, and sure as heck, he's buying up tracts of property, and they're under different names. And I go to visit her once, and there's a crop dusting plant. And she tells me that, it's genetically modified seed, or what they call heritage farmers. I don't know what exactly that means, but that's the word she used. They might come and knock on somebody's door that's maybe had that land for decades. I don't know. But they'll knock on somebody's door and make them an offer to buy the property. And then the property can be used for agriculture, but probably with genetically modified seed that spreads to somebody else's field that might have heirloom or natural, seeds, and that becomes a mess. I mean, there's lawsuits about that. I don't know how they end up, but where farmers that have had heirloom or natural, they keep their seeds and they grow them. A lot of those farmers aren't able to successfully sue because some big agricultural unit has cross-pollinated or whatever's happened.
Yeah, like they're downwind from like the Monsanto seeds or something, and so it's crazy. There's got to be a name for like heirloom farmers, right? Meaning that they have natural seeds, because it's like, so you got Frankenstein or you got the regular stuff, and so again, this is part of living in the upside down. It's like we don't say GMO seeds, right? We say that's the regular now. We say heirloom farmers, right? Like there's a term for like heirloom regular farmers. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. That's again, it's literally the upside down, because of course in terms of like production wise, the GMO stuff far outpaces it for a lot of reasons, right? And not to be like downer on all of this, there are good ways where this is good, but then once you start doing the Monsanto stuff and pulling the the ability to sort of regenerate your own seeds, they're literally taking our food source into their hands, right? It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing when you can buy like a whatever, you eat it, you grab the seeds and plant them and they don't grow. That's not a good thing. That, I mean, like I don't know what genius came up with that idea. It's probably some sicko, right? And that's why we talk about this stuff, because it's got to be some sicko that decided, hey, what if we make it so they have to come buy the seeds from us?
Exactly. Just like, why don't we put something in your body that maybe cures you for one thing, but turns a switch on for something else, and now you need this biologic medicine. The medicine for my son costs probably like $2,000 a dose. And if I didn't have they have like a special pay, we couldn't afford that for him. He'd be in continual surgery for Crohn's. So they've got right now with his Crohn's, they've got a patient for life. Right? They've got a patient for life. Now on the other end of it, if they could CRISPR gene him or genetically modify it, then why don't they just do that? Because that would cure him and that would not make a customer. All right, we all agree. We all know that. Let's go down the rabbit hole real quick. I'm thinking way down the rabbit hole. Let's say we get to the singularity. Let's say that we could start merging our consciousness with machines. Let's say we stop reproducing and we start becoming more machine. And let's just say that in that future, there's a solar storm. Doesn't have to be a supernova, but let's just say that radiation digs the Earth. Okay, it would explain why they have that vault. Where's that vault? In Iceland or something? There's a vault. There's a seed vault in Iceland. Okay, but let's just say that that's why all those grays we keep seeing, again, from our future are ourselves, because there's going to be basically a big EMP that's going to wipe whatever's left out. And we have to come back and either we're getting cattle for cattle mutilations, or we're taking DNA and we're taking stuff into the future, or genetically modifying it again, or trying to rebirth all of that livestock someplace else to keep whatever our future is going. I don't know. That's like my maybe juice right now. Where does it end? Where does the genetic modification end? Again, what happens if something in the ecosystem goes horribly wrong? From a solar flare to whatever, like you said, a nuclear bomb, who knows? It's a scary thought, and maybe it wouldn't be so scary if we had an algorithm or a quantum machine that could predict the possible outcomes. Maybe like Doctor Strange. I don't know.
It is wild, and there is a point of too much. I think that's the discussion tonight. At some point, that we need to just take our fingers out of the pie. Like, hey, you're ruining the pie, and the pie is the Earth, and the Earth is a natural process, and we got all these dirty human fingers in it. And there's your analogy. There you go. Does that make you want some pie, Joe? We got calls behind you. We got to run, bro. But at some point, too far is too far, is it not?
It's too much. It's too much. If there was a positive result, if you could tell me that this was totally, totally positive, I would do it. If we could maybe increase brain without medication, I would do it. But the motivation always seems to be money, and sometimes that's not the right motivation. I don't know. I'll leave you with that stupid, simple thought. So have a good night, guys. Have a good week.
You're the best, brother. Happy Monday. Joe in Florida, God bless you and the fam. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for the phone call. 702-957-1037. The question tonight, we're talking about natural madness. We're talking about GMO everything. We're talking about animals acting crazy. Here, there's one for you. Mystery as hundreds of birds kill themselves flying into Chinese apartment block. This is from the New York Post. This is the type of stuff we're talking about, right? Things just are not right in this world. What the hell is really going on? And how much is too much? Regarding, again, GMO stuff. We're talking about GMO mosquitoes. We're talking about GMO crops. Talking about Monsanto a little bit. We can throw that in. We're talking about these animals that really, it seems like they're confused. They don't even know what to do anymore. We're talking about the idea of de-extinction, and we're talking about too many human fingers in the natural process. at what point do you, like, again, like we're so keen to fix the things, right? Fix it. But hold on, right? Like, shouldn't you determine what's broken first before you just throwing out random fixes? I mean, that's a problem, is it not? It's a problem for me. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Hang tight, Daryl. Joseph beat you by just a quick minute. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Trouble Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
Yo. Hey, I was thinking like too far would be like the last caller said, like when you start becoming dependent on machines and like you just couldn't like do it without like in like science and stuff, like back in the day, like we would basically making ourselves go extinct if like dependent on a government, that would definitely be too far. And like, what I think like in the future, I mean, they definitely have plans to like save the earth and stuff, right? And they're going to mess with volcanoes. They're going to mess with rivers and oceans and stuff. And that's, I mean, to a lot of people is too far, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me to alter the planet for the better and making a system for the better of people, because like right now we have something that isn't working, that's for sure. I mean, people, I think part of the reason these birds are messed up is because they're all because of how we're spread out. Like they're kind of blending in with us. Like everyone has bird feeders. Yeah. I mean, that might be small effect, but I don't know, like when they become dependent on flying into farm barns and eating horse feed or whatever, chicken feed, and there's like, they're not doing what they naturally would do. They're living almost, I mean, I went to Colorado one time and there was a squirrel walking around, like looking at people. Like squirrels around here, they're running around and chasing each other. If you get near it, it's gone. This squirrel looked like it was begging for like food or something. Like it was so weird. And like the people were like, what are you guys like so like looking at this squirrel for? Like it was like normal to them, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird.
I went all over right there.
When you see animals sort of reacting out of character, right? And I think that's what happens too. And that's a good point. Is that if even in just general terms, if you feed a particular animal, let's say that particular squirrel was being fed by people, it would be less scared of people. It would just be like, hey, what's up, homie? You got something to eat? You know what I mean? And it would be doing that. But that's not the natural way squirrels are supposed to react to people. They're not. And so, like how much, and I think an even more fascinating aspect of this is, okay, so we are also as humans part of the natural process. Okay, that's for sure. So those types of things, like an innocuous thing, like a particular squirrel that may become more or less trusting of people for whatever reason, and maybe it actually like helps the squirrel, let's say, population forever because they're more docile, more trusting, and then who knows? I don't know, right? I don't know that. I don't have those type of answers. But then, so in a natural process, we're part of it. Okay, so that's a natural thing. But then what about once you start tinkering in a laboratory with like what that squirrel actually is? Franken squirrel, right? Or a Franken mammoth or a Franken mosquito. It's what we're doing. And the craziest part is like these GMO mosquitos, all right? It is an actual like real live test of the biome, like the actual the natural process.
It's going to affect everything.
Yeah, it could, and that's the scariest part, right? And the crazy part about all that too, just real quick, and I'll let you go, is let you talk. I mean, is that the mosquitoes, by the way, the GMO mosquitoes that they're trying to phase out, are also part of the food chain. There's a lot of things that eat mosquitoes because there's a lot of damn mosquitoes out there. So like, what happens if you do, let's say you succeed and you remove all the mosquitoes from, let's say, the Western Hemisphere? What happens to all the things that eat a ton of mosquitoes, right? I mean, there are there are effects that you're creating that you haven't considered yet. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. Go ahead, my friend.
I was thinking also, like, we're strong how we are immune-wise. Like, we can go through a lot of stuff is because we're a part of our environment. So the more we separate ourselves from this environment, the more toxic it's going to become to us. Like, we're going to have more allergies. Like, I'd say it's kind of like nature fighting against us, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem. Like, and so that's my question. How far do you think, let's say, Mother Nature as a thing, as like an abstract concept, how much crap does Mother Nature take from us and our meddling before it claps back?
I think we're smart enough to control. That's the scary thing. Like, there's a lot of, like, movies and stuff. I watched one called Electric Dreams. It's a series. And, like, literally it comes down to, like, us becoming machines. And, like, we don't even know it. We're machines. And, like, there's some of us that are, like, smart enough to, like, check under the skin and program data into themselves and stuff and become a little bit more sentient. But then there's, like, just random, like, they don't know what's going on. Like, there's people placed everywhere, and, like, there's still, like, these giant factories that are basically sucking the life out of Earth. But I think it's going to be different. Like, that's just the movie I was watching. I think it's going to be, like, harnessing. Like, I like to think of it as, like, harnessing. Because, I mean, my aunt, she's working at John Deere, and she's talking about she can't complain because they'll fire her. And, like, you can't, like, they'll say you're not fit for the job and stuff if you have certain, like, if your body breaks down and so she's talking about getting surgery and stuff already for a job she just got. And, like, I don't know. I just think a lot of that's going to go away, and we're going to work on helping humans, maybe. In what way we're going to help them, I don't know. Like, if it's going to be disconnected, like, maybe we don't need to be connected to nature because we're trying to be Buzz Light or whatever.
Yeah, right? Almost like that's the goal. Almost like that's the goal. Joseph, you're the best, brother. I appreciate the call. We're out of time. Joseph here, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He's got a YouTube channel rebranded to IO Walks. Follow him. Links down in the description below. It says, follow Joseph here. You're the best, brother. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Thanks a lot. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You tell me. We're talking about a natural madness. We're talking about GMO everything. GMO mosquitoes, GMO crops. We're talking about, what is this? Woolly mammoths and de-extinction. We're talking about geoengineering. How much meddling is too much meddling? And at what point does Mother Nature clap back? I'd love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More about a natural madness and how do we temper an even extreme. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are going random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
We got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images. And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or
just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things we're not allowed to talk about? There's way too much, so I'm going to have to sum it up. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. All right, now look, this is crazy, right? We're talking about this idea tonight of geoengineering. We're talking about GMO crops. We're talking about GMO mosquitos. We're talking about de-extinction events. We're talking about meddling with the natural process of the earth so much that at what point do you think the earth claps back? The earth gets tired of our crap and, well, I don't know, to steal this one from Clyde Lewis, shakes us off like a bad case of fleas, right? Do you think at some point the earth is actually capable of doing this and saying, hey, stop meddling, right? Because look, if we're talking about billions of years of evolution, right? Literal billions of years of evolution, and we show up in like this tiny time frame of individuals and as people, and in that sort of we just showed up on the scene with our fancy laboratories and our chemtrails and our just whatever the hell we're doing out there, our GMO crops, right? We start to change everything and turn it all upside down. Do you think at some point Mother Nature, Gaia herself, gets sick of our crap and does something and says, hey, enough is enough, right? Whether it's a conscious thing, again, some people think the Gaia hypothesis is literal and that the earth itself is a living, breathing organism and it maybe even has sentience in some cases. Other people say that there's a natural balance that's been achieved over billions of years, and that's why it seems like the Gaia hypothesis is a thing. It's not really sentient. It's just a sort of a very, very, let's say, well put together natural process that when things go out of whack, it has a way of playing whack-a-mole, right? And not allowing one thing to take over too much. And so it has balance. All right, so the question tonight is this. With all of that said, not just geoengineering, we're talking about de-extinction. That would be bringing back the woolly mammoth. We're talking about GMO crops, but also GMO mosquitoes, which they just released billions of these things, or at least millions of them for sure, not just in South America, but also in Florida and now recently in California. I mean, these mosquitoes, as nuisance and terrible as they are for people, are also part of the food chain. At some point, right, we're making mistakes here, and we don't know what mistakes we're making, and that's part of the problem. If we don't give enough time between a season or two to find out what the hell's really going on, how on God's green earth are we to find out what the hell mistakes we've made? It will be far too late 10 years from now if every single damn season we're just dumping millions of mosquitoes and saying, oh, this is going to solve the world's problems, right? You guys ever heard of Mao's China? You ever heard of this? You ever heard of the Great Leap Forward? Yeah, right? Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this, right? And this is a perfect example of exactly why you shouldn't meddle too much with nature and the natural cycle of the food chains. I'm going to get to you one sec, Daryl. I'm going to get your comment on this. Hang tight. We got to call Nick's on the phone as well. So hang tight. Daryl's first, and then we go to Nick. But check this out. Now, Mao's China, just in particular, right? Mao actually did this. In 1958, Mao Zedong ordered all the sparrows to be killed because they ate too much grain. You remember this? Remember this? Probably not, because most of us weren't born in 1958, right? This happened. This is a real thing. Ordered all the sparrows killed. They were paying actual fines, or actual bounties on these for people to just kill sparrows and turn them in. So they killed the hell out of the sparrows, right? I'm not going to get that one. Can you guys nuke that guy from the chat? So look, this caused one of the worst environmental disasters in history. In history. Right? Listen to this. This is wild. Just real fast. Environmental disasters are common in the history of mankind, but not many can compare to the one which began in 1958 in China. Mao Zedong, the leader of the People's Republic of China, decreed that all the sparrows in the country were to be killed. He decided that China could do without pests like sparrows, right? We're not talking mosquitoes. We're not talking ticks. We're not talking any of that. We're talking birds in the sky. By the way, birds aren't real. Hashtag. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Mao thought that sparrows ate too much grain, and it seemed rational to him for all the sparrows to be killed. What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Yeah, think about it. Just think about it for a hot second if you don't know this story. According to Mao Zedong, sparrows were getting in the way of the economic development, blah, blah, blah. He undertook several massive campaigns in an attempt to modernize and improve life in China. The Four Pests campaign was one of these drives, part of the Great Leap Forward between 1958 and 1962. Killing all the sparrows was part of this campaign. People were mobilized to eradicate the birds. They used beating drums to scare the birds from landing, forcing them to fly until they died of exhaustion. People tore down sparrow nests and shot sparrows from the sky. The result of the campaign was to push the birds close to extinction in China, right? This is real. This happened. This is history, all right? There is no information on how many sparrows there were in China in 1958, but if there was one for each person, there would have been more than 600 million sparrows. Hundreds of millions were killed. That led to a problem the next year, because who knew? You take off a huge chunk of like the actual like natural food chain and everything turns into a disaster, right? If you're thinking, we have literal historic examples of this, and we still can't stop meddling. This is ridiculous, right? Now listen to this. So the locust, this is what happened, right? This meant killing the sparrows was counterproductive because of this. The sparrows, it seemed, didn't only eat grain seeds. They also ate insects. All right. And locust populations boomed, and they ate everything in their path. Grain production in most rural areas collapsed, and a massive famine began. People ran out of things to eat, and millions starved. The official number of fatalities from the Chinese government was 15 million people because they killed all the sparrows. You see what's going on here? Look, Mother Earth has a way of clapping back, and there is a very natural balance that's in place, right, for a specific reason. And it has nothing to do with people, all right? It has nothing to do with people. As much as we want to make everything to do with people, it has nothing to do with people. And I'm telling you, if Mother Earth decides we don't need to be here anymore, we will not be here anymore. So at what point has Mother Earth had too much of us? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Thanks for being patient, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you?
Hey, Michael. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Oh, great. I'm so happy you're speaking about this. I think this is probably one of the most important issues, if not, I don't know, one of the most important issues we're facing today. And I was just talking with my neighbor when we took his dogs for a walk in Chelsea. You know, I don't know why. He has 2 male dogs, and they always go after the other male dogs, and they don't mind. I don't know. So all neighborhood dogs are gay in my neighborhood. Just saying, like, what? Why are the dogs behaving like you know? I don't know. I just wonder how far is too far. I think we've gone too far. Now let me get my list out, okay? I'm going to mention something that Joni Mitchell mentioned on an interview once when she wrote that song, "The Big Yellow Taxi." You pave paradise, you put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, or farmer, farmer. Put away that DDT. She said there are consequences. And she was talking about this like in the 70s of what we're doing now. I wish we had DDT now. Now we have Monsanto. I mean, we've got better chemicals that give you better diseases and more mutilations, or not mutilations. What am I saying? Mutations. So I'm just saying, like, did God make us in his image? Maybe there was only one sex. So he tampered with us and made a woman. So then there was two sexes, right? So we can appreciate, yin, yang, right, wrong, polarization. But now we're going to have like a third sex and a fourth sex. And who knows, maybe we're going to just we're not going to have humans anymore. I'm thinking also, maybe we were shrunk down from those giants. Maybe that was another adjustment to our size because we were too big to be sustainable. So they kept shrinking us and shrinking us. Now we're pretty small, but there's still too many of us. Were there always somebody like that they were doing these resets? And I was saying to my neighbor, I think this is probably the worst run of humans that have ever lived on the planet. I think we've been more destructive to each other. Maybe we used to never fight. Maybe we removed a gene or two so we could have more sex, but it made us more aggressive. And we didn't count on that. So suddenly we started fighting each other. Maybe we got along before. Maybe when we had free energy, everyone was equal, but maybe a natural disaster got rid of most of us. So then it was the survival of the fittest, so people started to, compete for something. I don't know, because we started messing around with our genetics. I don't know. Maybe that first shrink down wasn't a great idea. I don't know. I'm just saying. But we've already found like frogs with 3 heads. They're trying to and then you know what? The destruction of our history, and it could be as recent as 100 or 200 years ago. It doesn't take long, apparently, to make us forget our history. And sometimes they just have to burn down libraries so we don't repeat our errors. Maybe we don't need to know how technology works because we messed it up the last time. So we shouldn't know how to make a nuclear bomb. Maybe that was never done before. Maybe it was done before, but we don't even know the consequences we might even have on the whole universe. We're not only destroying our own planet and ourselves, but we might just destroy life everywhere, We're so destructive at this point. Let's see, what else do I have? We're just abusing our world. Oh yeah, the characteristics, let's say with this CRISP technology, we don't want to, we want to live longer. Oh, that's another thing. Didn't we used to appreciate life? Maybe we didn't appreciate it because we were immortal. So we did something that made us die. Oh, did we screw up? We were immortal before. And we still are carrying that genetic gene that when we were immortal, we took life for granted because we lived forever. But we screwed that up. Now we die. Oh, shoot. What did we do wrong? We're starting to breed out some, we want to breed in intelligence, but what if we lose our soul? What if you have these incredibly intellectuals without any heart or feeling, I'm
going to get to that, by the way. Remind me if I don't get to that, because I'm going to get to that tonight, regarding the intellectual and what de-extinction actually means. Right. I got exactly that, Daryl.
And what you said about those rats in our own lifetime, that you can't even locate the DNA, what the hell happened to them? How did they get modified? Did we do something that made them try not to breed with each other? I heard there was an experiment with some kind of self-vaccinating, chemical that they put into a rat that they would have to just touch another rat and they'd become sterile. I heard about this. And why do we, maybe like cockroaches, right? I'm sure we tried to get rid of cockroaches before, because who likes cockroaches? And what happened? They learned how to fly, and they got even bigger. So we're trying to get rid of something, and we screw it around, and then they start mating with something else. Like maybe those mosquitoes are going to start mating with fruit flies, and they're going to be more abundant and more virulent. But they can't make mosquitoes anymore, so that's going to ruin, it's all consequences. I think people in our past were probably more aware of nature and probably copacetic. They were more, aligned with nature and appreciated nature. They had sun gods. They didn't have all these different religions. They just appreciated when the sun came up and the sun went down, and they liked to eat. And maybe the only thing that was good to learn was how to make a farm that could reproduce food that you didn't have to forage, or getting animals that could reproduce. That was smart, kind of organ farming. But that's it, not too much, just on a small scale. I think, having one person owning a ton of land and making artificial meat. I mean, who the hell made him? He's like the decision maker. having one person that with that power is like incredibly stupid. I think when we were all equal, like having anybody better than somebody else or making major decisions, why do I have to, have somebody else make my decisions for me? Okay, I think I'm almost done. I don't know. I mean, even Bill Gates is predicting our next pandemic. That's scary already, So what are they going to come up with next? This wasn't that successful. It was successful. I mean, they made a ton of money, but they didn't, maybe they didn't achieve an agenda that they were hoping for because they couldn't convince everybody. I don't know. So there's consequences and there's deliberate things and then there's accidental things. So, we have to be accountable for our behavior because there are consequences. That's it.
No, you're right, and I think that's something that we sort of don't seem to realize as like who the hell's stopping these scientists from doing? I mean, look, we're talking about like it's not the topic of the show tonight, but we're talking about like Bezos and these guys are like, they have these underground laboratories where they're like looking into immortality. You know what I mean? It's like hold on, like what? Like at some point we need to stop this. We need to stop all of this and like literally just fix the obvious problems, like the oil. The oil's an obvious problem. Let's fix it, right? Let's fix it. It's destroying so many things, right? In so many different levels, right? Fix it. All right. The next thing, right? What's the next thing? Hey, the pollution. Stop the pollution, right? Like literally, there is a punch list here of things that literally need to be fixed, and they are critical, mission critical to not just Mother Earth, like sustaining our life for generations to come, but also, hey, like we're at a point where if we continue meddling as fast as we're meddling, think about it. If every season, every spring, they're dumping millions of mosquitoes in different jurisdictions all over the damn world, like, hey, you could turn this whole world upside down in a decade, in a terrible way. Look at Mao Zedong's China. Look at that. The sparrows. 15 million people died of starvation because they meddled with Mother Earth. Here we are. Like, oh, look, and think about it. It's crazy. Then they did it organically. They were killing sparrows by people killing sparrows. Now we're in laboratories creating millions of mosquitoes and dropping them GMO style into, like, not a laboratory, into the wild. I mean, holy crap, right? Like, at some point, look, things are going to go bad. And guess what? It's going to come down to those jerks, those knuckleheads that are making those decisions, like you said. Why are they making decisions for the rest of the human population when they literally have no right to at this point? There were petitions, like Joe was saying. There were people in Florida that said, no, we don't have the data from South America yet. Why are you doing that crap here? Then they did it. Then they said, okay, well, no huge famine in Florida, so now we're going to do it in California too. I mean, literally, season after season after season, this Oxitec is sending GMO mosquitoes out into the wild. Literally, like, let's file this under how could this go wrong, right? I mean, God, I mean, yeah.
What's causing, okay, I know for a fact that the sperm count in most men has gone down 10% every 10 years. So basically 1 out of 4 men are shooting blanks right now, the percentage-wise. We're not going to be able to procreate at this record. I hate to say the birth defects that are occurring right now that only people that work in hospitals are mentioning and talking about and barely talking about. I've seen some photographs, and you could tell there are new babies that are just not, they don't look right. Their heads are too small. Their testicles are too big. There's something really freaky. Their arms are too short. There's something weird about them, and they all look alike. Remember when they were giving women a certain, I forget what they were giving them, that made their babies come out with these flipper arms, and they thought it was perfectly safe to give them. I think it was like a morning, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like something for their nausea or something for their nerves. I forget. Formaldehyde. There was something, formaldehyde babies. And all the babies came out with flippers, and they were like, oh, shit. What would we, I'm sorry, I said that. Damn, why did we do that, And, like, what if our arms used to be longer? Like, when you see, I'm just saying, like, that there's some kind of weird thing about, like, when you see extraterrestrial, like, images of them, they always have really long arms. And monkeys' arms are really long, but our arms are not that long. And every time there's a birth defect, it happens to our arms. I don't know. There's something about the arms that you have to watch. But every time you mess around with a human, something happens to their arms. And when their arms get too short, you know you made a mistake, right? I'm just saying.
That's too far for me. That's too far for me. Daryl, you're the best. Hey, hang tight. We got phone calls behind you. You're welcome to stay right there. Please mute up. Daryl here has a YouTube channel called what's called? It's her name. Links in the description. She sings in English and French and has a bunch of stuff on all kinds of stuff, Morgellons and whatnot. Please give her a follow. Great friend of mine. Great friend of the show. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate the call. Let's go real quick to Nick in Massachusetts. Welcome, my friend. You're on Troubled Minds. You got like 2.5 minutes. Go.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, loving the topic. I think I agree with what you said about how the Earth does cleanse itself after such such a big mess that its inhabitants cause. I've heard this many times too. I really love Dolores Cannon's work, and she mentioned in the books that this happened various times in the past. Especially with Atlantis and how some rogue scientists were messing so much with matter, and they got into some perversity with the physics and everything about life. And for some reason, the Earth, and some energies chose to annihilate the whole civilization due to the fact that it was perversity. So I do agree, like there might be that idea that the Earth cleanses itself out of all these people, out of these energies, all these like corruptions. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like we're on a fast track to that, right? Like it's almost like we're daring the Earth to do something about our hubris, right? Like, and that's the disgusting part. So do you think we're there? Do you think we're coming close to the Earth clapping back? Is it on the horizon here?
I mean, I feel like it's happening again, but hopefully this time we've learned so much now. And we're actually more connected now than before, even with technology. We have technology, even though it might not be a part of a natural evolution for us, but, it is definitely aiding us on how to get back to that communication without technology, be more psychic, be more natural, and it helps. It's helping right now, so hopefully we can change and evolve.
Amen. I love the positive attitude you got, and it's a great point regarding how do we change as a result. Once Earth claps back, how do we respond? Nick, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening. Always a pleasure, brother. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you listening. Thanks for the phone call. 702-957-1037. Fantastic point, right? Is it a evolve, counter-evolve situation? You tell me. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, talking about a natural madness, GMO. When will Mother Earth clap back? Love to hear your thoughts. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Love to hear your thoughts. We're discussing the idea. Look, we're talking about GMO mosquitoes. We're talking about de-extinction of like the woolly mammoth. We're talking about, let's say, geoengineering. We're talking about humans literally just, let's say, perturbing Mother Earth to the point. At what point does Mother Earth clap back? The birds are smacking into things. They're dying in mass. Like, it seems like the animals are confused. They don't know what the hell is going on anymore in the zeitgeist of animals. I don't know. Like, so how do we stop this? How do we help this? And the question becomes, how long does Mother Earth take to just smack us down and say, I want my planet back? And you people, are the actual parasites, right? And I think this is one of the ones that I think we need to talk about and think about a lot. And we don't talk about this enough, in my opinion. But it is like, what's up? Shout out to Derek the Night Stalker out there. He's like, hey, the animals, there's something up with the animals. And there is. I think there is. I think they're confused. I think that, we have so stepped in and changed the entire, aspect of what it means to be part of the actual symbiosis of living on the earth, that the animals are confused. They're like flying into buildings, and here's one right here. The New York Post, a mystery as hundreds of birds killed themselves flying into Chinese apartment block. Just birds flying, not just windows, but just flying straight into solid objects. It's like they can't, I don't know, you tell me. At what point does Earth just say stop? You're doing too much, and we don't like it. And we as Gaia hypothesis, and just shake us off like a bad case of fleas. You tell me. 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient. Let's go to MJ in Virginia. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
Great. How are you, Michael?
Doing very well, man. What do you think? Do you think Mother Earth is going to get sick of our crap at some point?
I don't know if it's sick of our crap. But when you start rearranging a natural evolution of something, somewhere along the line, you're going to pull a piece of the puzzle out, and that's going to break something. And it's going to have a reaction of some sort. So you may be looking at that as far as the planet doing something, like maybe we're putting too much toxins in the air and it throws things off balance. The Earth has a reaction to it, and when it, you say shake the fleas off the back, it's simply trying to rearrange things to put either back in place or to put the remaining pieces together so it's one piece of puzzle again.
Okay, so maybe not like, let's say Mother Earth doesn't have a vendetta against us. It just has a way of sort of reshaping that natural process when things get out of whack, right? And I'm with you. I agree with you there. I think that these processes that have kind of come into this fine-tuned aspect over, however long you think this happened, this is not an accident, right? In my opinion, this is not an accident. Everything was fine-tuned perfectly so, including the food chains from the top to the bottom the way they are. And they do change over a great amount of time. But in some aspects, right, if you, again, back to the GMO mosquitoes, right, they're a huge part of the food chain. And so if you literally just eradicate mosquitoes in the next 5 years, it's like, yeah, okay, people don't get malaria anymore. But what happens to the rest of the animal kingdom, right? I mean, there are actual consequences there, are there not?
Yeah, well, it's like I grew up in Virginia, and growing up, your windshield on your car or your face shield for your motorcycle was covered in bugs all the time. And that was up until probably in the early 20s or early 80s. I moved away, came back in 2014. I have not had one bug on my windshield whatsoever since I've been back. Not one. What I noticed is, we have a ton of birds around here. That's all you hear out in the morning is birds everywhere, especially blue jays. So we don't have that problem here. What you hear about in China and cities where the birds are running into the windows, what I think is happening is the animals have a natural habitat on the planet, and we put down a highway, and like the deer come running across it, they don't know how to handle the pavement. They never will. There's not natural to them, and that's why in my area deer get hit. Because they get on the pavement, they can't run on it. They start walking real slow, and then suddenly your car's going to do fast, and you hit the deer. If they get on, flat dirt, they can jump over a 7-foot fence. So it's a thing of it's just animals have a certain rhythm they keep. They're not changing it. They're not adapting to what's going on with us. We're the ones changing much more rapid than they are. Their DNA, their habit stays the same no matter what. The deer always go out and they have, their survival, and that's their survival skills. It's very simple. Birds, bugs, everything. And the reason we don't have any bugs around this area is because we have a lot of farms, and they're spraying chemicals on the corn, the soy, whatever they're growing to keep the bugs off, but that's also killing the bugs. And then in turn, the birds have less bugs to eat. Bugs have other bugs that they eat. They don't have it. So eventually your food chain starts to break down someplace, and you're going to have less and less and less of something because that's all a piece of the puzzle. So you start taking that out, and then let's say the most aggressive bugs start to, bite people, and they start, looking for food from the people, just bite. Because I went down my backwoods on my property. I came back, and I don't know what was on me, but it was just bugs, and they were biting the crap out of me. And I had to spray myself down and, get in the shower and take a bath, and I had like little whelps all over my legs. I don't even know what they were. I went down there last year. I didn't have it. Now I do this year. So you're starting to notice that. And so out in where I live, the birds are much more healthier because they have the worms in the ground and stuff. But you get closer to the cities where the pollution is, it's just sinking down into the ground. The birds don't have that. So they may be committing suicide to get out of it. I don't know. But I think it's just in certain areas that's happening, and other areas that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's a great point, right? So if you remove a piece from that puzzle of the food chain, things got to eat. And so if things don't have the normal easy eatings they've always had, right? And I say easy, and back to Anne Rice and the way she wrote, she called it the savage garden, right? And that life isn't easy. Life is dog eat dog and that whole idea, right? But the circle of life, what's up, Matt in California? I see there. But I mean, in some cases, let's say that whatever life needs to adapt, right, to survive. And so let's say you do pull one piece of that puzzle out, and is it too ridiculous to assume, like you're describing, that, well, maybe things will start biting people instead? So look, if you take the actual mosquitoes out, right? Bats eat mosquitoes, birds eat mosquitoes. There's a ton of things that eat constant mosquitoes, right? Constantly. If you just pull them entirely out of the food chain, something changes. Okay? And so either things go hungry or things adapt and start finding new sources of food, right? And so things aren't really meant to be in that space when you just overnight, you snap your fingers in a season or 3, you literally change an entire food chain back to Mao's China, back to pulling all the sparrows out of the sky, all the locusts. Guess what? They came and ate all the grain and people starved. I mean, there you go. Just like you said, pull one piece out of the puzzle and things get catastrophic. It's not an easy thing, is it?
No, it's not. It's like last year I have red buds, and they have, really pretty blooms on it. Usually the bumblebees and a few other bees go in there for the pollen. This year I had no bumblebees. Last year it was full of bumblebees. No bumblebees this year. And I have several trees that have they're old fruit trees, but they still have the bloom on them. You would go out there and you could hear the bees, but you didn't see any honeybees out there. So I started noticing that for the past few years, it's been a little less and a little less and a little less, but it's too quick of a little less in a short time of 8 years, 9 years. You go out there, just hear this buzz. You get under the tree, it's just buzzing. And I went out this year, and I had to kind of look for them, because you have several different types of bees and bugs that actually pollinate. But I just noticed it was less and less and less to the point where you have to go out and stand under the tree and listen, and then you finally hear it. That's too much change too quick. And I'm just noticing they're talking about the animals. I have a possum that comes up and eats the cat food here almost every night. I'm starting to get, the wilder animal. I got groundhogs all over the place, and it's like they're hanging closer, and they're not as afraid to be around. That could be me because I'm just kind of cool. It's like, groundhog. But they're not as afraid, or they're getting more bold. They've got to find food too. But now most of these animals eat grass, clover, and this type of thing. But I'm just noticing that, and I'm noticing the neighbors' animals or dogs, they're more frequent in my yard. And it's something else I'm noticing. So I think possibly the animals are gravitating away from the people who they're starting to feel they don't feel safe around, or they can tell more that they don't care, or that people are putting out more that they don't care because of what we're going through with our economy, So I think the animals are very simplistic in a lot of ways, but they're also very sensible and very sensitive. And we watch the animals more than we watch people. I think you have a better chance of figuring out what's going on.
I think so. I think you're right. And we're as usual, right? We talk about this a lot on this show in that, I don't fancy myself a tree hugger. But look, if you don't go hug a tree, one day the tree may come hug you, and it won't be pretty. You know what I mean? In those terms, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, look, if you don't pay attention to the natural surroundings and the natural order of things, and we always meddle with like laboratory stuff, right? GMO stuff, constant meddling, right? We're meddling with the water, we're meddling with the food, we're meddling with like the natural cycles, we're meddling with like actual animals themselves, and then putting them back into the wild, and we're like, this should be fine, right? This should be fine. I mean, I know you've heard of chaos theory and this whole bit of like the, one butterfly flapping its wings in North America could cause a hurricane in China 10 years from now type of stuff, right? Like, that's chaos theory. But if that's the case, and that's actually possibly true, what the hell when you drop like millions of like GMO mosquitoes into Florida and California? What's that's going to do 10 years from now? Like, this could get ugly, dude, man. And I don't know. It's got me fired up because the more I keep scanning these news cycles, the more I see more of this. We're doing this, de-extinction, we're GMO mosquitoes, GMO food, GMO this, that, the other thing. Sure, fine. There are good effects, but they're also like, stop. Let's slow down and let's see, right? Let's like any kind of scientific process, you have to like actually see what the long-term effects of these things are. You can't just be change after change after change after change. You're the best, bro. What else you got for us tonight?
Well, one of the things, see, if you have a farmer, they have chickens, and let's say you have a garden out back or you have a field, they have plenty of chickens. What they would do was they would let the chickens go out once they plow the dirt up and go out and eat the grub worms out of the dirt, because the grub worms will get into your the roots of your vegetables and ruin the plant. So what they would do is they just let them out there, and they would go eat. So that feeds the chicken. The chicken gives you eggs. It cleans up your ground, and you have stronger vegetables. That type of balance is much more lost than it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing that we're not even considering, the balance, right? We're just like, hey, I mean, think of like the dystopian future. We're like, okay, there's no ticks, there's no, like creepy crawly insects. We've eradicated the mosquitoes. The ticks are gone. This are gone. That's gone. I mean, like, to think stupidly that it's not going to cause a problem. It's like first level thinking. It's like, hey, I'm cold, right? I'm cold. Let's burn down the forest, and then I'm not cold anymore, right? It's so insanely stupid. It's like, okay, fine, you're not cold anymore, but also, by the way, your forest is gone. By the way, right? I mean, this is how stupid these things are. But again, right? Like, I get it. I understand the rationale behind making these decisions, the GMO type mosquitoes and the de-extinction and things they're talking about, right? But then the next step is you have to let it breathe a minute. You can't just like flood the world with GMO mosquitoes and say, yep, fix that. Because you don't know what's going to cause, what problem it's going to cause, bro. I don't know, man. I think we're in trouble. I hate to be glass half empty. I'm a glass half full guy, but if they keep doing this crap and nobody stops them, again, like Joe said in Florida, he lives in Florida, and that's where they dropped the first batch of these GMO mosquitoes in the United States, was in Florida. Now they're like, oh, like nobody died of famine, so we did it in California now too. Like, oh, okay, all right, this is fine.
Well, the problem with that is they're putting bugs out that the birds can't eat to survive on. It's just they're thinking of crops for us, but you got to have the birds, because the birds eat seeds and they replant trees. When they go to the bathroom, the seeds are in that. They can replant trees that way.
Yeah, it's all part of it's literally all part of like a, I don't know, you could even call it like a billion-year cycle. Depends on what you believe, right? But I mean, these are not things that like emerged overnight. This like perfect balance of things didn't just emerge overnight. This is a long-ass process of like trial and error, and like nature kind of bouncing itself, checks and balances off of each other in a natural way to get here. So for us to like just change it overnight in a season or 3 or 5 or 10, no, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And yeah, what can you do?
I don't know. It's around here. People don't use, try not to use insect spray in their house. I do some because they get in my house. But for the most part, because around here I have red-breasted robins, bluebirds, or all over the place, and they're in the yard eating bugs everywhere. So I'm careful about how much I do or don't mow my lawn, because the taller the grass, the more bugs you're going to have, the more birds can eat. And between two properties, they're all over the place, So people are forgetting the balance. Also, you have to start recognizing where they're doing this and what states they're doing it in and what states they're not doing it in.
Yeah, well, exactly, and I think in these cases, right? So we got Florida, California, and it's happening in places where mosquitoes are prevalent, right? I mean, Southern California is probably super warm, and you got a lot of mosquitoes, standing water, the rest of that stuff, right? Same thing with Florida, like they're not doing it in like North Dakota, for instance, right? But there's not a ton of mosquitoes there. For instance, oddly enough, and I love this about Las Vegas, by the way, we don't have a ton of mosquitoes. And you know why? Because there's not a ton of standing water, because it's the frickin' desert. So there's not, like, we don't have that like huge mosquito cycle of like standing water, like swampy areas. They lay tens of millions of eggs, and there's mosquitoes everywhere. That's one of the things I do enjoy about Vegas, is like there's not a ton. We have them, but there's not a ton. And so yeah. I mean, but that's the whole point, right? Like, you got to understand that we know this, we're talking about this, but like, scientifically speaking, everything is in these like tiny silos of specialism. And well, what about like generalists? What about that generalist idea of, wait, every single thing you do in an open environment, whether it's going to be the desert or the rainforest or a swamp, those things do come together at some point, and those ecosystems do interact. So if you just like kind of do things in a vacuum of like, oh, well, we'll fix the swamp. Well, sure, fine, fix the swamp, but like, you realize that like there's some natural like process going on there that should be a thing. It should be allowed to happen, right? Like, I don't know, like perfect comfort does not exist. And well, here we are talking about it. You're the best, bro. I appreciate the phone call as always. Go ahead. What's your final thought? We're running out of time here, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, in Virginia, I come out in the early morning in my yard or in this area. It sounds like a freaking, it's just birds everywhere. And we have mosquitoes and all that, but they're keeping a balance in the bugs, because you can see the birds pulling worms up out of the ground and eating stuff. And they're done halfway through the day. They start to, taper off, because they're out here in the morning eating the bugs. So we're in this area. They don't really tamper. The people generally don't tamper too much with that, because that's what the birds are for. And you just learn to work within the nature, work within the nature part of it, or the balance of it. And you have to deal with a certain part of it, because you're going to have a mosquito land and bite you or something. But if you allow nature to do its thing, there is no problem. And down in Florida, if you start messing with the bugs, because of all the citrus and all the stuff they're growing down, they're putting chemicals on it. That's killing off the bugs, and there's a lot of birds. So they're going to put the bugs back in, but the bugs are putting back in, the birds can't eat, and then the birds disappear, and then the bugs start building back up because there's no birds to eat them. It's just, you got to slow it down.
Slow it all down. And I agree with you 100%. I think that's part of the problem, right? It's like, if you want to do an actual scientific experiment in like a gigantic ecosystem, which is literally the entire Earth, you can't just do it season by season and change things. You got to do something and wait, right? But humans are not good at waiting. I'm terrible at waiting, by the way. I hate waiting, MJ. Do you hate waiting? I hate waiting. I hate waiting. I hate waiting.
I've been waiting all my life.
Get in line. MJ, shut up and get in line. You're the best, brother. I appreciate the call. Have a fantastic night. Always a pleasure. Talk to you soon, my man.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, you too. 702-957-1037. Check this out now. Now this gets weird, right? You want to talk about how this gets even crazier, right? Let's go to X-Files real quick. You guys, we're going to skip to the fiction part of the show. We got a few minutes left. So check this out. You guys remember the bees in X-Files? A shout out to the mighty Rohan out there. We chatted a little bit before the show, trying to get an idea here. And he's like, hey, what about the bees in the X-Files? I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic. Look, this is from the X-Files wiki. You guys remember this? The bee, right? Bees in the X-Files are also part of the infection and spread of the smallpox and alien virus disease experiment and attack, right? You guys remember this? Yeah. Let's see. Bees have venom sacs and stingers, etc., so on, blah, 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 right? So what they did is they took these bees and they genetically modified them with an alien virus. An alien virus, right? Alien, like actual, like the black goo or whatever, right? Like literally alien, like you would expect, like little green men, or even worse, right? Okay, and now this is also part of the problem with this, right? This idea of genetically modifying things here. Check this out. They've got lists of these, the pros and cons of like actually genetically modifying mosquitoes. Check this out. Let's scroll down a little bit. This gets nuts, right? Here's the problem. Here's part of the problem. Okay, right? Pathogens are known to be adaptive. Numerous bacteria have become resistant to antibiotics over the past 7 decades. Some bacteria are so difficult to treat because of their ability that they developed from drug exposure. In the United States, about 2 million people are infected by antibiotic-resistant bacteria every year. About 23,000 people die each year because of these infections. Genetically modifying mosquitoes might change disease transmission habits today, but what about in future generations? It is entirely possible that future diseases transmitted by mosquitoes could follow a similar course of resistance. And literally, this is what I'm talking about tonight. This is literally where we're at, because look, you can experiment in a small environment. All right, you can do this. And you can even extrapolate through data what you expect to happen over season, okay? But you cannot dump millions of genetically modified mosquitoes into an open and completely, we understand a lot of it, but not totally understood ecosystem, and expect season by season for this to be okay. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. I mean, this is Troubled Minds, so we're not going to get into alien pathogens. Or, well, maybe we will, because it is Troubled Minds. But what do you think? At what point does the Earth say, no thanks, I'm done with this? You humans gotta go. We're going to reset. And what about the great reset of the Gaia hypothesis? Forget the New World Order and, well, the World Economic Forum. What about Gaia saying no more? No more. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the third hour. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Loop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. As it ends, it goes exactly like this. Exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Have a good night, Fred. Thanks for hanging out with us, brother. You're the best. Fred in Arizona, been a longtime friend of mine, longtime friend of the show. He's one of those OGs. He's been here for a very long time. And what's up, Fred? He's looking forward to retirement coming up at the end of the summer, and he's going to be able to stay up with us as late as we want, as late as he wants. And thanks for that. Just have the timer up because I want to show you how deft I am with my managing the radio timers, because I'm fucking good, guys. I'm fucking good. Fucking good. All right. Hey, sometimes you got to brag, and sometimes I brag a lot, but braggadocious. All right. So here's the deal, right? We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to keep on talking about this stuff. And so you tell me, right? So the question tonight is this: regarding all this GMO stuff and like actually doing all the bullshit, right? All the bullshit that we're doing, again, GMO mosquitoes, this idea of de-extinction, right? Like, again, are the woolly mammoths supposed to be here? Right? That idea of de-extinction, again, coupled with GMO mosquitoes. So mosquitoes are supposed to be here, but what if we extinct them, let's say, unnaturally? Let's say it works, and let's say in 10 years, there's no mosquitoes on Earth, right? Think about that. I mean, that may be good, right? That may be good. However, right? It may be fucking disastrous. Remember, go back to Mao's China, right? Mao's China, and that idea of killing all the sparrows. They're like, again, right? Like it's so limited human thinking where you're like, okay, what's the problem? Well, the sparrows are the problem. They keep eating the grain. All right. Well, I got the solution. Let's just fucking kill all the sparrows, right? So they did. What happened? The sparrows were also eating and keeping back the locusts. So what happened when they killed the sparrows? Yeah, that's right. The locusts destroyed their grain. And what happened? 15 million people estimated died of starvation. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying here? Like, there's a problem. There's a problem that, again, we have literal examples in history of how short-sighted we are making these stupid fucking decisions. And yet, what do? We keep making these stupid fucking decisions. It's mind-boggling to me. So the question, right? We're going to keep on trucking. We got more. I got more to talk about. We're going to get to the birds flying into the buildings. What's up, Night Stalker? Shout out to you. We're going to get to the bizarre-ass animals and the way they... what are they doing? What are these animals doing? I have no freaking idea. Like, it seems like there's something up with the animals. And again, this show tonight, inspired in part by the Night Stalker. He keeps posting in the Discord, hey, look at these animals. There's something up with these animals. What are they doing? They're not even acting like animals anymore, right? That, like, they are at some point not even the way they're supposed to be. So what's happening with that? Like, are we affecting the animal zeitgeist of how they actually respond to natural phenomena because of us? Because we've broken a bunch of shit. Right? And because it's so broken that, well, at what point, once again, is Mother Earth sick of our shit? All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 2-minute break. We're still taking your phone calls. What do you think about this? Is there something to this? And so the question becomes, right? At what point do you think Mother Earth gets so sick of us, she does shake us off like a bad case of fleas? You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. Let's smash the button. Let's take a 2-minute break. I got to go get some more. Let's shut up, Michael Strange. Shut the Michael Strange. God damn it. Look, Mike, I'm talking. All right. When I'm talking, don't interrupt me, Michael Strange. All right. So you tell me. Look, this is the thing. I don't know the answers here, but I have a hunch. I have a very strong hunch that we are not helping ourselves by literally going after what? Going after, like, nuisances, going after, I don't know, like you tell me. I don't have these answers. I'd love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubleminds.org. More maybe juice for me. 2-minute break for you. I'll be right the F back. How does this work? You tell me. When does Mother Nature get sick of our shit? Be right back. All right. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. And we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of there's something wrong with these animals, right? Not just that. We're talking about the larger concept of a natural madness, meaning, look, people are part of the natural cycle, okay? We are, for sure. And I'm not excluding us from that. But I'm also saying this, right? The bears in Yosemite are not genetically modifying mosquitoes and pouring them out all over the entire open ecosystem of the earth by the millions, right? So, where the obvious answer is, does a bear shit in the woods? Yes, right? Yes. So is it becoming so obvious that do people meddle with the earth and the biosphere? Yeah, fucking right we do. And again, right, so shitting in the woods or dumping 1 million or millions of mosquitoes in Florida or California, this is not good, right? This is not good. This is not a good thing. And again, look, something from the chat, right? We'll see you night, Doctor. Get you in just a sec. So Matt in California is saying this, right? And this is legitimate, and he's completely spot on. There's bizarre shit happening, right? There's bizarre shit happening. Let's see. He says, what do you say? We have bears walking the streets and climbing trees at schools in our town. It's never happened before, right? Again, let's see. Oxyuki says that's because of encroachment and onto the bear's land, etc. Also adds, what's up, Oxyuki says, mountain lions are being squeezed out and chewing on people. That same flesh-eating bacteria that I got is common along the East Coast waters now. I'm telling you, like, there's some fucked up stuff going on. And so the question is this, right? So as we continue to meddle in the idea of the biosphere, the actual, let's say, the natural process of nature itself. All right. As we meddle more and more, what point does Mother Earth get sick of our shit and try and get rid of us? And that's what's on my mind tonight. 702-957-1037. MJ, I shit in the woods. God damn it, MJ. Let's go to. Oh God. Oh Jesus. Why? Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. What's up, brother? Welcome to Night Stalker to Trouble Bites. How are you, man?
Going on, brother. Great show.
Ah, thanks. Just chilling. Just doing weird stuff, man. It's Monday, so we thought we'd go a little tame tonight. We haven't got to alien viruses yet, but maybe you could take us there. What's on your mind, my man?
Maybe. I mean, what's going on with these animals? Something weird going on with these animals. So that's all I gotta say. Something weird. I don't know what's happening, but we've been kind of tracking this thing in the Discord chat for a little bit recently, and I don't know. I got some takes here about what's happening with these animals. You ready?
Fire away, sir. Go right ahead.
All right.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I missed the beginning. I had to do the comic-y thing for the first hour, so I'm just trying to catch up, kind of. So, as far as like I definitely think there's a weird thing happening with like animal consciousness, animal sentience, like animal. I don't want to get into the whole big thing again, but I think there's something I've explained it before about the kind of trajectory of how I think consciousness goes from like plant kingdom to animal kingdom to us, and how we're like sentience, consciousness on the move, and we can think about ourselves, and we can like kind of make decisions not based on instinct. We can kind of like conceptualize stuff, and it seems like that's kind of happening to animals, and it's manifesting in some bizarre ways. But overall, I think kind of what would happen if, or are we kind of transitioning to a new phase of consciousness? Or are we like occupying a new role in this consciousness-free kind of the trajectory of how consciousness is kind of formed? And we're going to transition into like either the metaverse, like disassociate from our bodies, or into some type of transhuman thing, or some type of 5D dimensional shift type thing where we shed our mortal coils and become disembodied consciousness on the move, or that kind of thing. And then what happens to the role of the consciousness that looks upon itself? Will animals start to move into that role? Like, will they start making weird decisions not based on just natural evolution and stuff? Are they going to start plotting revenge and these kind of things? And I would say yes. I think these things are happening. I have one page here in my notes under weird animal stories or smart animal stories. I'm just going to kind of rattle through a few of these things over the past like couple months here.
Sure, go ahead.
Only kind of since like February. This is pretty recent. We had one story from Gizmodo about orangutans got suspiciously close to inventing stone tools. There's all kind of like videos and stuff for people saying that there's since like 2018, 2017, there's been rumors of chimps and monkeys entering their own kind of version of the Stone Age, and there's people criticizing it, saying, no, they're just trained chimps that can do all kind of really weird stuff, and they're not actually picking up these stones and figuring it out on their own. They're just kind of repeating what they're being seen, and they're not conceptualizing anything. They're not really understanding what they're doing. They're just mimicking. But with these orangutans, no. It's like they were kind of being observed, and they just were stumbling onto it themselves, which is weird. And then on February 22nd, there was a story, so it probably happened a week earlier, about a California lawmaker proposes a dog and cat bill of rights because their sentience is increasing and stuff, which is true. And I think there's something to that, especially with domesticated animals or in house pets especially. So what would happen to the consciousness of an animal if it's just sitting beside humanity for thousands of years? Like if there's a struggle for a dog and cat to survive, a house dog and cat is zero. It's just sitting down, observing us, observing these basically like weird alien advanced creature things. Are they going to start picking up different patterns? Are we going to change the way their brain kind of is moving? Are they going to think more like people? Are we peopleizing dogs and cats? This all kind of sounds like I'm saying like animals don't have souls, which is not what I'm trying to say. But it's whatever that thing is that kind of separates humanity from animals is kind of what I'm talking about. And is that boundary getting murkier now? And I would argue yes. Real quick.
Yeah, sorry, place you can stop. Yeah, just real quick. So I think in just the most basic concept too, like if we're talking about transhumanism and you will own nothing, you'll be happy. It seems like that has nothing to do with animals at all, right? Because it's a very sort of Orwellian control mechanism that's happening, and it's happening. It's definitely happening. But then so the secondary aspect of this, which is stupid as fuck, as we're just people and we're stupid as fuck. We just don't see the forest for the trees type of thing. Well, what about the animals? What happens to them when we all have our morphine drip and our Oculus goggles and we're in our rubber padded room and like we're just in fucking like la land, right? Like exactly, yeah. What does happen to the animals? You know what I mean? Like it's literally the furthest thing from our mind because we have full on like velociraptors and woolly mammoths and fucking saber-toothed tigers and the whole thing inside of our Oculus. So we don't give a shit about the animals anymore, right? Like we can conjure the fucking whatever extinct thing you want to see and hop on it and ride it like you're in the fucking never-ending story, and it'll fly. By the way, even if it didn't fly when it was here. I mean, so it, just in terms of like kind of like feet on the ground. I think it's let's say that the Great Reset and that New World Order is also a way to disconnect us so far from the nature of real natural process that we don't give a fuck about the animals, and it becomes they become more of like a Planet of the Apes type of like whipping boy, like beating the shit out of them. Like we treat animals poorly now. Imagine 10 years from now, or 15 or 20 years from now, when we're all locked into this digital world, right? Like shit gets sick.
It could go. I mean, you mean like how would we treat the digital animals when there's no consequences, or how would we treat real animals when we go digital?
Yeah, what happens to the real animals when we go digital?
Yeah. Okay. So it could a couple of different things. One, we're gonna as the more we escape into this digital world, the more we're gonna ignore the physical world. So the physical world is gonna start to crumble around us, and we're gonna start to. It's almost gonna be like that. What's that like Travel Channel, History Channel show they had a few years ago? But what would happen if humans all disappeared? What would happen to the Earth, kind of? And it just kind of overgrows and becomes like nature takes it back, kind of. But I'm not sure if it would exactly happen like that. If it does, it might benefit the animals. Like we remove ourselves from the situation, and they have a chance to kind of like take over the planet again. Like we kind of just kind of go into the shadows. But it might be. I don't know. I'm not sure if it'll be that simple. If we just abandon kind of everything we've done, the whole world might just kind of fall apart, and animals might be living in our filth. Basically, it might be living in our scraps. Or like I don't know. It seems weird, but also like this is like just a weird new agey Gaia type thing. But what if kind of to the humans as a gut biome for Gaia, for like the Earth, if we're like we consider ourselves to be the sentient creature removed from nature, But what if we're performing a certain role that nature needs? Like if we're, I mean, in different religions and mythologies, where our role is sometimes perceived as like a caretaker of the planet, where the reason why we have the ability to like think and have these like sentient thoughts and these make choices like kind of diverge from just natural like robot type mechanism, like mechanistic thinking, is so that we can fix problems and stuff. So like what if the role, how would, if this is just kind of came to me right now, I think I've said it before maybe in a VC, but like how would Gaia, if that exists, the Earth mind, defend itself if it knew there was an asteroid hurtling towards itself in 1 million years? Like what would it do? How would it just accept that it's going to be destroyed? Is there any type of desire to keep living by the Earth? And if so, how would it do that? Would it start to people? Would it start to create an organism that can build technologies to blow this asteroid out of the sky? I mean, what if we're talking about where does technology come from? Does it come from aliens? Does it come from demons in the astral plane? Or does it come from Gaia needing something to build technology to prevent it from outside threats or something? And that's like putting a kind of a personhood onto the Earth, which might not be the case, but just for thought's sake. So what if we leave that? What if we abandon that role? Will something, that's the consciousness idea, is like, will something fill that role for them? Will apes take the leap to start? Is it like in an alternate Planet of the Apes type scenario? Did they evolve because humans just like took off? You know, did we evolve? Are all these old ancient structures, are they old humans, or is it just some super advanced society that took off and just living in their scraps for 1,000 years boosted our brain? That's the real magic mushroom trip that boosted our consciousness and stuff, you know? I'm really rambling bad, I know. But,
what are you talking about? Hey, we're talking here. No, you're fine. No, but that's the whole point. So I think it's fascinating you describe it as like so what would Gaia, Mother Earth, do as a mechanism to defend against an asteroid? I don't think it would, honestly. I don't think it can.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those situations where it reacts to the stimulus it's given. And so, right, it can't stop the asteroid from hitting it. It's like it's destined, right? It's destined to be. And not only that, it's not the first rodeo for an asteroid or a comet or whatever, like even a fucking moon or another planet hitting the Earth. It's been there, done that, right? Like if you go back billions of years, this shit's like old hat to Earth. So Earth is like, you know, like the dinosaur thing, right? That whole like Chicxulub impact and all the rest of this shit. It's you know, it's been there, done that. It doesn't do a thing to the Earth in the mechanism of balance because it tries to achieve balance somehow, right? And so given if it takes 1 billion years for it to do it, it'll do it, right? And it doesn't care what comes in the way of that. It has to make it happen, right? It's a challenge. It's a long-term challenge.
It wouldn't do anything protect from a life extinction level asteroid event, but if there is some type of animalistic instincts that you see, like an animal is going to run from a antelope is going to run from a tiger. It doesn't want to be eaten. It doesn't want to die. There is a things want to survive. Like life wants to keep going. So if there is some type of life that Gaia has, and it knows it's not just a dinosaur extinction level event, it's a below the Earth, out of the sky type thing, will it react? Is that the reaction? And will it know in advance? Like, I don't know. Like, so, I mean, things get blown out of the sky all the time by asteroids or stuff. Things are exploding all the time. But is it animals also die all the time, but they don't willingly die. They fight for it, you know? So it might have made an attempt to survive and just didn't do it. But what if one attempt is, okay, let me just shield myself in this technological armor, and because time is probably different for a tree and probably much different for the Earth as a whole, its instant reaction might be evolving people over 1 million years. You know, I don't know how we got in this tangent, but I think it's kind of an interesting little thought experiment.
No, it's good. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Man. We're supposed to range far and wide because if we're not doing it right, this is the whole idea, right? Of that whole, it's like the siloed specialist, right? It's like they're so fucking concerned about like one thing that happens in this tiny slice of life that like the entire fucking thing is happening around them, and they're like, I know the answer is GMO mosquitoes. We won't get we won't get bit anymore. You're like, you fucking knuckleheads, are you shitting me? Like, think one step outside the laboratory and just go look around you. Like, holy fuck, there's so much out there that's happening that you have not even considered beyond your fucking lab or making money, right? Yeah. Like, we have to range far. It's our specialty, Derek. We range far and wide. That's the point. That's the whole point. Yeah, don't apologize. Go right ahead, sir.
I heard the beat behind me, so if anybody's there, just going off. But to bring it back to more down to earth, more to what the kind of topic is, will GMO mosquitoes affect the natural world, the ecosystem? Yes, 100% yes. Do I know how that will manifest? No. But we talked about the idea of the trophic cascade before, and how inserting or removing things from an environment ripples through the entire environment. And there's that one viral video, probably if you just search trophic cascade on YouTube, you'll find this like 1 5-minute clip where it talks about introducing wolves into an environment, into a forest or whatever. And the wolves eat the beaver, or the wolves eat something which affects like the beaver's food source, and it just goes down the food chain. And the beavers probably are farther along in the food chain, but then because they're affected, they don't dam the river in the same way, or they do dam the river in the same way. But the crux is introducing wolves into an environment ripples through the entire environment to the point where the rivers change. The flow of the actual rivers, the way the environment literally looks and moves, is different just by the injecting of just wolves. So the idea of just creating a new species out of mad scientism, that's, who knows what that's going to do, and then who knows like what. I don't know. I'm no fan of insects. I mean, if there was somebody said we can remove all the spiders if we wanted to, I mean, I'd be tempted. But obviously, it's going to be bad for it. So we need. There is that balance. We need everything.
Exactly.
You know?
Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here when I said that, but it's like, look, if you're cold and you burn down the forest, you won't be cold because it'll be like the biggest fire you've ever fucking seen. But right? Exactly. But then, like, pretty soon after, like, you're not worried about the cold anymore. You're worried about all the rest of that shit that burned down in the forest. That's what we're fucking doing right now. And some people would say that with climate change and the carbon and shit. No, I don't think it's that dire yet. Look, if it was that fucking dire, I live in the goddamn desert, right? Like, some of the hottest places in the world are right here next to me. Next to fucking me. I've been there. I've been to Death Valley. I've seen the fucking dunes. It's sick. It's like 135 fucking degrees or whatever, right? But it's not unlivable yet, because let me tell you what, there's no houses out there. Nobody fucking lives out there. Like, as much as they want to tell you, right? They want to tell you that, but it's not the case, right? Like, there's places in Saudi Arabia that are hot as balls too. But I mean, not that much hotter than what we got right here. Where I'm at, I'm in fucking Vegas. Bullhead City, Arizona is hot as balls in the summertime, like 125 degrees, right? 125, it's hot, right? But like, not unlivable yet. We still have air conditioning. We still have all the things that make it livable. So in those cases, right, like that's right. We've adapted. We've turned into the things. But as I don't know how I got onto this, but I think it's more important, like talking about the animals, like that whole. For sure. Yeah, back to that. Say shut up, Mike. I got no. Go ahead.
I go on with just for the lots of these links. They're really hitting like hard and heavy around like early March, and there was a story about magpies being observed removing their tracking devices. They were smart enough to do that. There was a study about horses, and they instinctively knew when the person who was guiding them was making an incorrect decision. They have like they're intuiting. We've seen a jump there. Their consciousness is advanced high enough to where they're like, they know our consciousness. They can like read our minds almost. There was a story in early March about octopuses using trash to like create their own things. Like they're taking what we are shitting out and they're creating stuff with it, you know. But as far as there's a big story about or kind of three kind of tying stories. One, chimps and apes were fighting each other in the jungle for the first time. There was a war between like gorillas and chimps or something like that. Chimps and monkeys or whatever that story was for the first observed time, which was weird. That's outside of nature. That's outside of like survival instincts. That's like revenge. That's war tactics. That's people's behavior. There was a story about dogs like killing a chimp or something like that. I'm not sure what the story was behind it, but out of revenge, these chimps came and started stealing these dogs and dragging them to the top of this skyscraper or this building and chucking them off the building as revenge, like human tactics, you know? So you're talking about like psychosis and stuff. The way we're being just absolutely crushed by trauma, and the way it's just like breaking the human brain, and this is like the zeitgeist is just melting down as far as like the human psyche. Is that trickling into the animal psyche? And we're running out of time, but I would just say probably yes. And I think that's we see that stories about monkeys taking revenge on dogs, and I don't know, weird scares and shit like that. But sorry for rambling, Mike. Great show, awesome show.
No, you're good. One man's garbage is another man's gold. Your rambles are amazing, brother. I appreciate you very much. Night Stalker here has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description. It says follow Night Stalker here. Derek in Massachusetts. You're welcome anytime. You know the deal. I appreciate you very much, man. Please give him a follow. And thank you. Make him the only guy on YouTube that has one trailer video and 1 million subs. Please follow.
I promise. I told Rivers this the other day, but I promise by the end of the summer I'll have made some kind of content. I don't know what it is. Could be like a 10-minute video or whatever, but I'll promise I'll make something. You know,
okay.
You give me all this time to talk and practice and stuff, and I'll try to make something. You know,
okay. Also, by the way, if you need help with that, you let me know. I'd be willing to dip in. You can come here. We'll record it. We'll send you the audio, or I'll help you with the video. You let me know. You guys know I'm willing to help all of you. And I said this to Rohan too. He's like, you realize, Mike, on the air, you just offered to like help 1,000 people. I know. And I said, I'm not scared. You know why? Because I'll just make a video series and explain how to do everything. And like, it's no good. I'm not fucking scared. Look, literally, if 1,000 people come to me and say I want some help, Mike, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. And I have the ability to make that happen. I've know enough about what I'm doing for so long now. It's not a ton of time, but I'm like, let's say, semi-pro conspiracy theorist, and that's good enough for me. You're the best, brother.
You're just creating a bunch of monster podcasts here, brother.
All right.
Just creating a big stable of talent underneath it. We're very thankful.
Good. And I am as well. Thank you for spending your time here and giving us your awesome takes. You're the best, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Later.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night. It's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Mike in Colorado. We're talking about natural madness. We're talking about, GMO mosquitoes. We're talking about de-extinction events. We're talking about all of this and how these ripple effects will affect Mother Earth, and at what point will she clap back. How you doing, brother? Are you there?
You know, I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
Doing good, man. Just a random Monday night. Troubled Minds talking about some random shit. You know us.
You know, I really wanted to call in. I've been lurking and doing some work, but I heard you and Derek talking about the GMO mosquitoes. And what are these people thinking? I know you can never subscribe motive to someone else, but it kind of, for me, it comes down to one of two things. Either they're sinister or they're stupid.
Right?
And that's kind of what it comes down to for me. And I don't think people who get to those positions of power and money and access to resource, to be able to make those in the first place, I don't think they're stupid.
No, exactly. And not only that, they're like, it's being allowed. Like all the bullshit we see with like all the politics that's actually happening. And we talk about this often when you dip in here, because you're very smart and you're on the ball with this stuff, is that the lefty righty stuff seems to be like an actual distraction from shit like this. Right? They're like, oh, we're just dumping millions of GMO mosquitoes in Florida. Like nobody said anything and nothing happened and everything's fine. And then
Disney,
right? Disney, next political news cycle. Ron DeSantis is the devil. AOC is like a stupid millennial. She doesn't know shit. Whatever, right? Like on and on and on. Like it seems like they're literally distracting us from exactly this moment of, hey, we did it in Florida, we did it in South America. Like Joe said, he lives in Florida. He called in earlier and he said, hey, they didn't even give us the data on what that looked like before they dumped those mosquitoes in California too. It's like, oh, that should be fine. That should be fine. What the hell, right?
Yeah, so I mean, agenda-driven nonsense in our society, I do think it does have a ripple effect to possibly the animal kingdom, other than the fact that when we act crazy and we don't do things the right way, they don't have much choice. There was a really cool study about crows, and the crow population in big cities just exploded because they had a food source. And so everything does have a secondary and tertiary effect, and maybe even, 4 times down the kingdom of animals and vegetables and minerals or whatever. I just, when we look at things and I see these things, I just kind of think they got to be doing it out of malicious intent. They can't literally think that they're doing it for the benefit of mankind or even their kids or, whatever. And so I think there's a lot of broken people in positions of power. And unfortunately, I believe men and women are made to be kind and help others and serve others. And so we put up a lot of crap before we snap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you said, that's also the argument for government, by the way. They're like, they can't all be this stupid, right? It has to be some sort of malicious intent. And I agree with you. Like, they're obfuscating a ton of stuff and making us believe the Kardashians actually give a fuck about what kind of shoes, like we care what kind of shoes they're wearing, right? But then also, like the AOC is a knucklehead, and Ted Cruz is the devil, or Ron DeSantis or whatever, right? Like, it's literally, I think this is what it's about. They're literally like setting us up for the great fall, whatever that is, right? Whatever that becomes, because the more the system churns and sort of obfuscates the idea that we're literally just crapping on the natural world, right? We're becoming that Elysium future. They're talking about literal like hotels in the sky now, like actual like orbiting the Earth hotels type shit, right? Who do you think's going to be there? Algo?
Not me.
Not me. I can't afford that shit. You can't afford that shit. We're regular ass people. We're salt of the earth types. We don't have that kind of money. And so what'll happen, right? We'll be stuck in the Elysium future, if you guys haven't seen that movie with Matt Damon, where the fucking world is just destroyed. We're all living in squalor because that's all that's left. The animals are like become mutants because they're all they're all like genetically modified. The whole ecosystem on Earth is broken, but all the elites have just buzzed off to like in orbit. They're like up there in like resorts and swimming pools and yeah. Yeah, that sounds legit, right? Do you think that's the Agenda 2030? I mean, shit. What year is it? 2022? We got time to make that happen yet? Because it seems
it seems like 20 Agenda 21.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Agenda 21. Well, notice Agenda 21 was a thing, but then Agenda 2030 is a thing. Notice what happened right around the time of Agenda 2021. It catapulted us to super fast. It changed the pace for sure, right?
Well, yeah, it did, and I think I kind of try to look at it like the mechanical industrial revolution, but because that had a huge effect on society in not positive ways, and dirt poor and white slavery and all the stuff that went with that, and now here we are on the next turning, as it were. The fourth turning of our society, and it does appear that the cashless society social credit score system is in our immediate future. I don't know. By 2030, I don't think there'll be palaces floating Elysium, but I do think by 2030, we're probably going to have those who comply and those who don't, and kind of like Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, good old Demolition Man. Are we there yet? Are we there? Or it's like you're the stupid kid in the back seat. Like, are we there yet? They're like, smack you. Shut up. We'll tell you when you're there. You'll be
right.
hog-tied and laid in like squalor. Then we're there.
And I think the people that Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab serve are the ones driving the car. I don't know who those people are, but I hope that there's enough natural instincts and moral compass in men and women. Them together, lock arms and then we have either a big battle or they give up and push it down the road. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just crazy as hell out there.
Hey, we're I think not to plan, by the way. I think they didn't expect this inflation bit. I think they didn't expect the housing bit. I think they didn't expect a lot of things. It seems like they're caught off guard, right? Because you could kind of maybe milk this down the road if this was not a real crisis. And so I think that if your timing isn't just perfect, you may get that clapback. Like I'm talking about the Mother Earth as a clapback. What about the human zeitgeist as a clapback to the elites of the world, right?
And it does have that rubber band effect. I think we see it. I don't know what Earth is. I don't know how it works, or I know what it can do, but I don't know how and what takes that tipping point. But I have seen in societies when there's enough hunger, people do things. When there's enough oppression, people do things. And literally, if you walk around America, we're not hungry and we're not oppressed enough. So
not yet.
It's not yet.
Not yet.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
You're the best, bro. You're the best. I appreciate you very much. Mike in Colorado. Hey, we got to meet up sometime, eh? We're close enough.
We're pretty close. There's a meetup in June out here east. If I could get to Vegas, it would be after October, after the racing season is over in Colorado. So October's not too far away. I don't think it'll be too late, but it could be close. I might be running to the desert before then anyway. Who knows?
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like if it all collapses, man, maybe we'll meet in the desert, Mad Max style. We're like, wait, is that you, Mike? I know you from somewhere. We're all wearing goggles and like cut off shorts and shit. Yeah. All right. Let's hope that doesn't happen. You're the best, bro. I appreciate the call.
Wait, that's Michael Strange. Don't kill that one. Don't kill him.
Don't get him. Don't
He's
get
on
him.
our side.
Exactly.
Hey, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, bro. Have a great night. Algo here. Check him out. He's got a YouTube channel, just like it sounds. ALGO space RHYTHM. And yes, I can spell rhythm by myself without checking. Mike in Colorado, great stuff as always. He does this thing over on his YouTube channel as well. So go give him some love. Links down in the description below. And always a pleasure. Go. Yeah. Robert says Mike sounds like algorithm. It is algorithm. All right, so we're still talking about this. What do you guys think? Like this is one of those ones where I think the world. At what point does Mother Earth clap back? And I'm with Mike there. Mike says I don't know what that means. Right? Meaning, maybe like how do you quantify like a Mother Earth clap back? Right? Because those cycles are so large. In my opinion, I'm not speaking for him. I'm speaking for myself now. But in those terms, I think that. I think that the Earth at some point will get sick of our shit, right? Like we think that, like, imagine. So for instance, right? Like Derek was saying, like we get hit with like a comet or something, like turns into like a worldwide catastrophic event. The Earth will just be like, what else? Like the Earth is not here for us. Like it's not. Like it seems like it is, right? Because we're the actual hubris of humans. We seem like. It's here for us, but it is only to the extent that we can actually work within the balance it gives us, right? In that sort of, we go from here to there, or the other thing within us, within the cycle of things. And so we talked about dualism on this show. We talked about creation. We talked about all kinds of things and how deep this rabbit hole goes. But at what point does the Earth say, fuck off, I'm done with you guys, and shake us off like a bad case of fleas, right? And again, right, it's gone through many cycles as far as we're aware, as far as we can tell, geologically and all the rest of this. Like I said, you can't believe all of it because, of course, science is still in its own, specialized niches, and that's okay. But also, by the way, like you also can't just live in a specialized niche, or else, you're just a specialized niche. So, yeah. Anyway, what's going on? 702-957-1037. What are your thoughts on this? We got a few minutes left, 20 minutes or so. We got James has been waiting so very patiently. James, you're the best, brother. James in I was going to say Michigan, but that sounds wrong, so I'll just say James in Michigan. Thanks for being patient, man. He deferred to not only Algo, he deferred to the Night Stalker. Salcedo Paranormal, welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Your audio is always boom. It's almost like you do this a lot. What's going on, my man?
Oh, I usually do, except for when the power goes out.
Oh, right.
But,
yeah. Was that okay? You didn't. You survived the great freeze, the great reset, or whatever. The great power breaker reset.
the great mild wind that did something or other out there. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but yeah. So, but no, it was fine. I'm just glad I got back in time for this show at least. I didn't miss all the shows today. My gosh.
Nice.
But yeah, great calls all night through, including Algo's. Couple things. I guess the first thing is I do agree with Derek. It does seem like there's something going on with animals, and it just makes me wonder if maybe there is some kind of different scale that consciousness develops within them that maybe could explain why they seem to be changing. I do think part of it could be what the effects that humankind is having on the planet. I think that's definitely a big part of it. But I wonder if that's all of it. Just because of some of the things, again, some of the articles Derek mentioned, just very interesting stuff. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I don't know much about what, like you said, what nature would do to counteract whatever humanity is doing. But this seems to me like what could eventually happen is we'll end up getting basically new mythological creatures that are made by scientists.
That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed, right?
Them.
So that's exactly the point, right? So it's perfect to round this all up, James. Now look, in the case of like the woolly mammoth, we can't bring it back, right? Because like the case of the rat, right? The Christmas Island rat, they have like these other rats that are very genetically similar, but they still won't be able to bring it back perfectly. So a woolly mammoth would be a Frankenstein, right? It would not be as we expect it to be because we don't have the full genetics of that, right? And so in those terms, what happens, right? It's like Frankenstein monster after Frankenstein monster after Frankenstein monster after GMO mosquito after GMO ticks after GMO this after GMO that. You see, right? Like shit starts to add up, man. This is not an accident, I don't think. Well, if it's an accident, what do you think, James? Do you think that we're as a human species, we're incredibly stupid, or we're incredibly insidious, like Algo was saying? What do you think there?
It's I don't know, because if you look at the news enough, you see quite a bit of stupidity on display around the world. So it's hard to. I don't know. I almost hope that it's more of that than the whole sinister side of things. I also don't think it's ever completely one thing or another thing. I'm sure it's a mix. But I'm just already seeing, like you mentioned, those floating hotels up there in space, and these people looking down on Earth watching their creations just controlling or destroying everything.
Yeah, and by the way, too, that they say that the estimate is by 2025 they will actually have a smaller version of a floating hotel in space, and then shortly thereafter, a year or two later. So I think by 2030, by their estimates, again, let's even tack a couple years on that because, like PR estimates are usually trash. But let's say by 2030 we'll have a big enough space station to ship I don't know, let's say Oprah Winfrey, let's say Bill Gates, let's say Elon Musk. Though I think and again, correct me if I'm wrong or tell me I'm stupid, but I think Elon actually wants to go to Mars. So I don't see him like retiring by the pool in a space station next to Bill Gates. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. But again, I could be wrong, but like I think we have this Elysium future. I think is happening, right? And I, interestingly too, and notable is like I've talked to people about that movie in the past, and some people have been like, it's racist. I'm like, what do you mean though? Like a lot of things are racist, but what do you mean? Well, all the brown people stay down on Earth and all the white people go up to the space station. Like, yeah, totally. But I mean, right, like how many brown billionaires are there? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that's racist for sure. But like, is that the like underlying theme of like the I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. It's like, hey, 99 and 2/3% of you stay here and rot, and the rich people go, right? And that doesn't really matter. Yeah, predator class, right? There you go. The predator class. It's coming. The space motel. So look, if they have they have a small space motel. Watch the news show today. Didn't we talk about that today, James, or maybe Friday? I think it was Friday. They got coming a space motel of like 30 or 40 people. And then 2 years beyond that, let's say 2027, I think, is about the approximate, hundreds of people in a space motel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that was Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday show.
I wasn't there for today. Yeah, you know what's funny about, just real quick on Musk?
Sure.
I wonder if he wants to go to Mars because he knows all this experimentation is going on. And he kind of has made the same leap that, or some of the same leaps that we have here, kind of thought experimenting it down the road. Maybe he wants to go there for a reason. Maybe he wants to get away from all that.
Yeah. I just think he diverges, right? Like there's one thing too, and I say this, look, if you made me like a multi-billionaire tomorrow, like I can't see like, trying to bang like the hottest supermodels and having the nicest pool on the nicest yacht. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that, like, think about that. That might be fine for a moment, but like how sick does that get eventually, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, just sort of in human terms, it's like, okay, but right. So you still have billions of dollars in like power and capital to do all kinds of amazing things for humanity. And you still, right, like as far as we're aware, can only live for so long. So what are you doing, man? Like, I think that's the most like probably embarrassing thing about our, quote, quote, predator class, which is what we're calling them now, the predator class, is that it doesn't seem like they give a shit about anybody else. Right? I mean, and like, I know Oprah's like, you got a car, but that's paid for by the advertising on the damn. You know what I mean? Like GM or whatever was like, hey Oprah, give away 100 of our cars and we'll we love you, right? They're like paying her to like give away their cars. You know what I mean? It's like it seems benevolent, but it's not. It's not. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, it does seem like, and that gets into a whole bunch of other topics in a way, but some of these people that have made it all the way to what they call the top, it just seems like they may have had to do things that most of us can't imagine doing, and so yeah, and so if they're willing to do those kind of things, then why wouldn't they find scientists that are also willing to do whatever they want to, basically make whatever they want or whatever they think they can make? And of course, once they release these things out there, how if they're going to interact with other similar species and then breed, that's going to be a whole other layer of mutation on the evolution, if it even works. If we were lucky, I guess the best case would be it just wouldn't work. They wouldn't be able to, reproduce or mate with other similar, like this Frankenstein rat would not be able to, basically make offspring with other kinds of rats. I think that'd be the best possible outcome there overall. But if they can, then that's going to start a whole another artificial chain of evolution.
Yeah, and I think exactly the point. I think when we start to we've taken, let's say, evolution, as the bull by the horns, right? Sort of like metaphorically speaking. What does that become, though? I mean, we end up. I don't know. Like there's so much to talk about there. That's like a whole transhumanism show on the top of this, right? But I think that's where we end up, right? Like we literally kind of eschew Mother Earth and like the natural process for whatever we want to create as a whatever it happens to be, right? And so just real quick too, there's the other side of this. I was looking into the philosophy of this. You guys know me, like funny enough, my detractors that know me know that I failed philosophy. If you guys have been listening long enough, in college I literally failed, like FF philosophy. I had to take it over. But there's a story behind that, and if you know me, you know it well. But if you don't, I'm fascinated in the philosophy behind these ideas, right? And so they call this a playing God fallacy, all right? And that, right, so like, for instance, our doctors playing God when they remove a patient's appendix or cancerous growth, right? Is the hero playing God when she jumps in front of a car to save a life? Would a future geneticist be playing God if she removed a baby's cancer-causing genetic sequence, right? Right, but it's not. I don't think it's as simple as that. I just don't think it's as simple as it as everything. Right. I think the interesting conversation about this and everything else is that in a vacuum, those things seem fine. And again, also me, the way I speak and the way I talk about troubled minds and the way I present things, clearly and obviously in a vacuum, it's probably fine, right? But there's of course things I'm missing. But that's why, right? That's why you're here, James. That's why Derek's here. That's why Mike's here. That's why MJ's here. That's why Joseph is here. That's why Robert is here. That's why so many people are here, right? You're here because I'm going to miss things, and I'm supposed to miss things because I'm human. And that's where a conversation comes in because, look, we learn from each other. That's the point. Well, like in a laboratory, in that tiny slice of a niche of a silo of a specialization, right? Like they have only like a feedback of academic, what would you call it? Academic. I'm trying to be nice, James. Help me with the word. The academic feedback. I don't know. Like what? We don't have to be derogatory. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the shit I just said? Because I just said some shit.
No, yeah, it's the whole academic and scientific thing. It's hard because I do feel like we need those things. The problem is I don't think we need those things tied to politics or to money, to extreme amounts of money, to the point where they have to do things. These scientists have to do things that maybe they don't even think is right in order just to get money to keep on going by in some cases. I'm just wondering, it makes me wonder now if we were to look at the scientists in charge of these various experiments, where are they in that spectrum? Are they at the top of the science world? They're just doing whatever they want to because they can, or are they being put in a position to do what others want just to get by? I think both of those things happen, and so that's part of one of the scary things about all this.
Yeah, it is both. It is again the dual-edged sword or the double-edged sword. They say, right? Is that like we do need this stuff. We do need advancement, or else we're still cavemen in the Stone Age type of thing. But also, right, like at some point, like that advancement is also like with no oversight, it's dangerous. And again, the thing too with me, you guys know me, last thing I want is like the government dipping into everything, because those motherfuckers are the most corruptest motherfuckers ever. Yeah, that's right, I made up a word. It's not a word, but I fucking said it. The most corruptest motherfuckers ever. And they just are, right? And it's because they're so locked into these bullshit paradigms of left and right. They don't even understand. They think they're battling against the other side. But hey, newsflash, all of you motherfuckers are like working for us. So like stop thinking in terms of this binary bullshit and start working for us again. Like, hey, by the way, it's our tax money you're sending to the fucking Ukraine, right? It's our tax money you're sending weapons the world over, right? For people to kill each other. It's our tax money you're bombing brown people in the fucking Middle East and saying it's for our national security, right? Look, and I know there's nuance there, but for the whole fucking point, like the rest of that, there's also not a lot. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of justification, because a lot of that money goes missing and all. I mean, shit, James. How did we get here? I mean, we got on taxes. Don't get me on healthcare. Don't get me on healthcare.
So again, back to the giant monster mythological creatures.
Get it?
Just that's where it comes back to for me. Like the eventual end game of all this. It seems like we're almost going in a circle. And it just makes you wonder, has this been done before?
The old, the ancient Egyptians and Anubis with the dog head. Right?
It just, because, and I'm not even saying necessarily aliens. We don't know. We don't know, but there are so many stories of, and legends and myths about creatures that don't seem possible, and yet here we are now working on things that so far are small, bugs. I mean, even if you want to say like a mammoth, even as big as that is, that's not quite like a dinosaur, I'm not sure, but still, those are like one big thing or a bunch of small things. But that's just a couple of examples. If this keeps on going, I could definitely only imagine what they're going to want to do. The more they go with it. I mean, just look at how so much of what people want to look into is military weapon aspect, or weaponizing things. You think they're not going to want to eventually try to just alter and or create animals that they can just use as soldiers?
Yeah, no, exactly. And funny, Algo says in this too, elephants are going to be so pissed if they bring back the mammoth. Right? No, but you're right. Weaponize everything, and that's the sick joke about like humanity is like, oh sweet, new technology. How do we fucking weaponize it? It's like, wait, what? Like, how do we reduce costs and like give more people like a quality of life beyond what they could have imagined in the previous life? How about that instead? Like, why don't we talk about that and think about that instead? It's so fucking unbelievable. It's just here we are, James. I don't know, bro. So the question for you is, and can you give me 30 or 45 seconds? I got more maybe juice to grab, and we got Jennifer on the line behind you. Give me your final thought on this, and we'll go to Jen. So at what point does the Earth clap back? Do you think that like GMO mosquitos, de-extinction events, again, like, geoengineering, at what point is the Earth says, fuck you guys, I'm done with you, and like create some sort of, I don't know, let's say problem for us. Not to be so doomsday, right? But right, like, does the Earth actually, like, in that of us sort of upending her balance, get sick of our shit and turn it into something that we don't want? I'll be right back. I'm turning you on a speaker. Give me 30, 45 seconds. Go right ahead, James. You're the best. And I know I can rely on you because James here has a podcast called Saucedo Paranormal. I'll tell you all about it when I get back. Go ahead, James. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, I don't know. I do think that it's really hard to tell in a way, just because, again, and I think a couple of people have brought this up tonight, but I'm drawing blanks on who. But our time span is not the same as the planet's time span of existing, obviously. It would take, countless lifetimes to even equal that. So I don't know what it would look like. I do think it is odd that it seems like we're hearing more and more about these various underground volcanoes and other aspects of nature that are always in earthquakes and just all these different things that are part of the Earth, the planet, that are happening or that are supposed to happen soon, according to various scientific studies. Again, that if these things actually happen, if these, let's say, any of these super volcanoes erupt, it will cause who knows how much damage to the surrounding areas. I believe at least one of the, I think at Yellowstone, was it? There's supposedly one of those super volcanoes. Okay, under Yellowstone, somewhere like that. And I'm not sure how accurate all this is, but where if it were to go off, then it could destroy a large part of the country.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to put it, right? So, look, if Mother Earth gets sick of us and has a bellyache, right? Super volcano, later, bros. we'll talk to you on the flip. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get back to business as usual a million years from now, and Mother Earth doesn't give a shit, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's like, hey, at some point, does it actually just flip? And like we think we're like the alpha dog here, and the alpha dog ain't the alpha dog at all, right? And I think that's an important point too. Again, Elon Musk and the whole getting to Mars situation. I've been saying this for years, by the way. So it may you live in interesting times, but like in those cases of hey. If the world gets a bellyache and the super volcano at Yellowstone explodes, we're all fucked. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at, right? Like, it's just a matter of like when you croak, right? It becomes like a really, really difficult situation worldwide. But that's why eggs in one basket, right? That's eggs in one basket. That's Elon Musk. And that's why, hey, I'm a fanboy. I'm becoming more and more fanboy of that guy, because even if he's wrong, he's got the nuts to say, let's do the thing. And like Oprah's like giving away some fucking cars from General Motors. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on now. Oprah, why aren't you building rockets and trying to go to fucking Saturn? What are you doing? You got the money to do this shit. Anyway, let's get the fuck out of here, James. James here has a podcast. Good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine. Bros, even just don't tell him that, or he'll get all trying to take over and shit. Hey, James, don't get your ego too big, okay? But James, good friend of mine, we're bros. He's got a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. You can check it out. Links in the description down below. By the way, not only does he have a podcast, he's an author. He's got all kinds of books he's written. You guys can check him out. And I've updated his link down below. How do we do this, James? We updated your link to include your books and your social media and your podcast. And what's going on? Tell everybody the quick brief, and they'll go to Jennifer. Thanks, Jennifer, for being patient with us.
Well, it's simple. Mike shared this website with me. This allmylinks.com, I believe it's called. And it was really simple, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone that, just a recommendation, just a thought. I would definitely suggest it to anyone that has multiple links for whatever they're doing, because it was really, really, really easy to set up. So, and that's the one down there is mine. So, and I appreciate Mike sharing that site with me.
Nah, you're the best, bro. You're the best. I appreciate you. You're always, like I said, I was teasing James earlier. You're the glue of the show, and that's for sure. 100%. Give him some love. Buy his books. One link down below. It says follow James here. Click it. You'll find all his stuff, his podcast, his books, his social media, his Discord. Everything is there. Please go give James some love. You're the best, brother. Always a pleasure. You can stay right there. You already know. You don't have to leave. So that's let's keep on trucking. You're the best, James. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Thanks for being patient and letting James and I bro it up. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's up, Jen? How are you?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Crispy, loud and clear even.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm calling kind of late.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We got time for you.
You know,
you got time for us. We got time for you.
Why they... Yeah, I won't take too long. I just had some thoughts on it, and I waited too long to call in, I guess. But great show tonight. Great calls the whole time through. But when you think about why they want AI to begin with, you know, like why would they want this transhumanism? And we think to ourselves, oh, they want to be immortal or something like that. But on another aspect of it, it seems to me, too, that there's a bit more to that, you know. I mean, just on this one first aspect. AI, if you can meld it with humanity, it makes it a lot more controllable in every way. And the more you put that into every single thing, the more controllable it becomes, because by nature, they aren't actually in charge. These billionaires around the world, there's all these things called like mergers and startups. And if you look into all of that and what these billionaires are investing in, they're trying to meet this ultimate goal of AI technology, like NVIDIA and SoftBank and these things way the world over in Japan, melding with this company over here in Australia, you know, taking over beef factories and controlling the meat market. All over the entire world, there are billionaires and millionaires investing in startups and different companies and everything. They all have these ideas we're talking about with GMO and everything else. And their intention is ultimately this AI technology. But by nature, they aren't actually in charge. And nature could at any moment, and this is the absolute obvious, is that everything in nature, at any moment, any storm, anything at all, any little anything, they aren't in charge. And even in the nature of humans, they wouldn't be. And in nature, in the natural world, they would be the lowest. These people who just make money off trading stock and buying here and buying there and finding out mastermind ways below them to organize the masses. They would be nothing in the real natural world. And because by nature, they would fall. And they couldn't have their rule because greater people, greater human beings made of something else, they would deem what they're doing, as we are all doing right now. We would look at it and we would say, you know, this is weak and this is selfish and it's cowardly, and take over their rule so that they are, you know, so what they're doing is they're taking this underhanded approach in the background through investing in all these programs and through changing through GMO and through all this stuff so that they can, so it makes us more subservient, it makes us more programmable, and it makes us more predictable in pretty much every way. And what they're trying to do is cover every single base because they fear the natural order, and they always have. They fear the natural order of their own species that will eventually, and they know this because it's happened in the past, that will eventually come back and take away from them what they've stolen through all this deception and flat-out lies and manipulation. And with all the rest, you know, bring woolly mammoths back so that people put their hands on their cheeks and say, oh, wow, you know, this great power structure really is all it is. It's always been this. And live under it, you know. And it doesn't mean a thing to me. It doesn't mean a damn thing to me. But the lives of many, you know, build the golden temples, you know, that's what they've done throughout history, so that I may be and you may be in awe of their amazing power. So if they can bring back these species, if they can do all these amazing things, it's all to show us how they have, so we'll keep that same totem pole, like, as it is. Because what you do must be so great, Everything we're hearing about and all of these, taglines and hot topics and everything. It's just false promises. And everybody will believe them. We'll all believe them. Because look at you, look at them. They have the power of a god. It's bullshit. And to paraphrase Gandalf, he said, let them build their houses of the dead more eloquent than the homes of the living. And what really has happened is we have given over the rule of the world to lesser men. They have taken it through deception, essentially. And all this is to further dumb down. Like, everything in the media is just for us. Nature doesn't care. It's not affected by any of this. At any moment, the universe, the galaxy, the oceans, if they should move out of place, it doesn't matter at all. It's to dumb us down and make us believe they're bullshit. And that's what I think about this, as far as what are they up to, what are they doing. It doesn't amount to anything except to try to impress upon us, if they control the GMO seeds and the trees, they control what you eat and what you build with. They control every single aspect. And if they create AI to such an extent, which is their ultimate goal, much further than that, like with this AI to revolutionize it and to put it into the bodies. It's to have further control, to have it predictable, so it's not in the way and they don't have to be afraid of it anymore, because really what they are is cowards. And they're terrified, as they always have been, that the masses will raise up, or that nature will raise up and take it away from them. This castle that they've built out of nothing. And I think that is what it is. Because nature is not afraid of any of this. It can't be when you look at what it can do and what it's done all the time and could do at any moment. So they are not actually the gods they present themselves to be, with their bringing back extinct species and wowing us with their amazing powers, as they've always tried to do. They have absolutely nothing that can stand against the true awe of the universe. Nothing.
And that's a fact.
And we shouldn't be impressed by it. And that's really what's sad about it, is that it's sad that we are, and that we're afraid of them, when they should be afraid of us.
Exactly.
And they are. I think they are.
Yeah, they are.
And that's why they keep going on with all this nonsense.
Exactly. A couple thoughts. Amazing stuff as always, Jennifer. So number one, that the inversion, right? I always talk about living in the upside down. So like we are literally living sort of under the inverted pyramid, because they've inverted it in our minds, right? But like the pyramid is built on the masses, the many people, the opinions of us, the regular folks, like
you flip it upside down, it crushes them.
Yes, exactly, and that's what's happening, right? That's my first thought. Second thought is back to what you were saying there regarding like the Earth. The Earth doesn't give a shit, two shits about like about the dominion of men, right? Like because it was here before, it will be hereafter. The Earth doesn't care, right? If we literally cannot like obliterate it into
the catastrophic
of you. Yeah, the catastrophic vacuum decay, like Stephen Hawking suggested with CERN or something like this, then the Earth doesn't have a choice. It's gone also. But in like longer terms, let's say 1 million years from now, when mankind has destroyed itself because, well, it seems like we're too fucking stupid to not do that. It won't care. It will literally just carry on, and whatever happens next, because it will try and balance itself as it always has, and it'll be without us, and we'll be without it. So I want to leave this to you, and I don't know if this is my own novel thought. If it's not, I apologize. But basically this: the ocean does not care about the sandcastles of men. And well, there you go. It will wash us away as quickly as we began and as quickly as we end. And here we are. I don't know what else to say regarding that, but what else you got, my friend? Always brilliant, and thank you for being patient while James and I broed it up.
Well, oh, no, yes. No, they think that, like the pyramid itself, the structure itself, made out of limestone to absorb water and become heavier and more, more solid than it even is. The whole construction of the thing is designed to withstand. It thinks it stands for the very epitome of how they have survived the catastrophic events of the earth, and they think they have it. That pyramid itself is a symbol of how they have figured out how to withstand the destruction that nature has in store for it. Humans always will survive, and I don't believe that nature ever would wipe out the entirety of an entire species, per se. I mean, it could happen. I mean, I don't know nothing about that. But there's so many human beings, and there's so many everything, that I would suspect that everything could survive, or if certain over here in this region, or maybe over in India, or wherever, it's always a possibility that someone would survive. They're hoping that they're going to be the ones. And they're hoping that, and they know much more than they let on about these cyclical events, because they've kept it all to themselves. But this AI thing, this whole transhumanism thing, I'm beginning to think it's nothing to do with them and the immortality thing. It's about us. It's about if we can get something into them to make them completely predictable and controllable, beyond just, because all that mind control and all that nonsense we talked about, nonsense because it irritates me, it's irritating. But the whole thing, what they're trying to do is to make it predictable, the masses to be predictable, so that they can make it more subservient and control it much better and make it do what I want you to do. And that's what they're doing. And they try to spread that whole virus into each one of us. You're better than this person. You're better than that person. Try to find a way to control somebody. It's insanity. And you're right about this natural madness. It's absolutely crazy. But they can't actually do anything. And that's the truth. They can't, if we don't give them permission to do so. But as far as on a personal level, and all this GMO stuff and everything, it's just they try to control everybody. But yeah, what you said, I think is absolutely what you're saying earlier about them too, about the, the alpha thing and all of that. It's natural to try to control the species. Anyway, yep. And I just wanted to call in. I'm sorry, I brought it on late.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But I just wanted to say something about it.
Hey, Jennifer, you always know you're welcome.
You let us do that.
You got time for us. We got time for you. You're the best. I appreciate it very much. As you guys know, Jennifer here, a great friend of mine, great friend of the show. Always brilliant stuff. I always tease her and say, hey, look, you're the one that calls and turns this whole thing upside down and twists us off the cliff in like a fiery mess in the best way. We're all like hands up in the air, like screaming, woo! So we go down to the bottom. Jennifer, you're amazing. She's got a YouTube channel. By the way, Jennifer has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description down below. It says follow Jennifer here. She's about to start getting some more content going. So now is a great time to go give her a follow. And a little rumor is I may be on her channel soon or soonerish. So twist your arm, Jennifer. You help me so much. I'm willing to help you. So thank you so much for being you.
That'll be so fun.
All right, let's do it. Let's get the thing done. Jennifer, you're the best. I appreciate you very much. Have a great night. Thanks for the call. There you go. Please give her a follow. Link in the description down below. And this is what I'm saying, right? Like I can't say enough. Like how, right? You see me, like look, I'm no numbskull, right? Like I'm sort of tuned into some things, and like I got a thing going on or two, right? That's my ego speaking, but it's also half true. Right, so there's that, but then also, like, look at all these amazing people that we have kind of dip in here and just sort of turn things, well, into something else, and that's what this is always about. Like you guys know, links in the description. All the amazing people that call in. What's up? Also, shout out to Danny. Thanks for dipping in and hanging out, and you had to take off. Smurfer girl in the chat there. I mean, look, this is what this is about. It's not about me, right? At some point, like, this is about a conversation between people. And, shocker. So I know this is the shock of the universe to you, but you are also people. And so we talk about those pyramids and the inverted pyramids and, like, the living in the upside down and, like, hey, like, stand up and say no. Like we do not comply. Like we do not want you taking our tax money and bombing people, right? Like we do not like consent to you, right? Like allowing these GMO mosquitoes without any sort of like actual public data. I mean, fuck's sakes, right? This becomes a problem. This becomes a serious problem, and not just. And I hate to be like hyperbolic. I can be, right? Look, if you want to be like the biggest loudmouth on the planet, I can be that guy, right? But I do my best to be measured, to be calm, to be right, to be positive, to be, all the things that I respect in somebody, right? I try to make those things manifest in myself, right? And I'm not perfect. You guys know this. I'm not. I won't be. I can't be. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. But I do not strive for perfection. It's not the thing, right? I just strive for betterment, and betterment is, well, better than yesterday, right? And it means a better tomorrow, and that's it. And Elizabeth has it right in the chat. We do not consent. Like, stop. Like, stop taking our tax money. Like, literally, think about that. Like let's say the 30% tax rate. That means 3 days out of 10 that you work, they're like taking from you and bombing people, right? Like I'm not okay with that. I've never been okay with that. But look, it's not okay to say that. You see? So I'm a dissident. You're a dissident for like listening to common sense, right? For trying to like snap the zeitgeist back to center. Like, meaning, I don't mean politically, I just mean like in a human scale. Like, there's so much to talk about. Hey, thank God this is a talk show. James. Actually, wait, is Daryl still there? Let's go to Daryl first because she's been waiting the longest. Then we'll go to James. Let's wrap this up. Daryl, are you still there? What's up, Daryl? How are you? Daryl in New York.
I'm still here. And this has just been such a great show. I just can't tell you how much I love the subject, and I loved all the colors. This is so important. We've got to really... we've got to really think about things very seriously now. This is a critical time right now. And if we don't change right now or tomorrow, we're not going to be around much longer,
It feels like it. It feels like it, doesn't it? It feels like we're headed that way. And I don't like that feeling. I don't like the glass half empty feeling. I don't like that at all.
I just think people are starting to wake up, though. Don't you feel like that there's more awareness now than there's ever been? I just hope, I'm really hoping, that people are starting to realize things. And I just saw somebody apologize on Twitter for, being so polarized about certain things.
Oh, you mean self-awareness is actually happening? Holy fuck. Okay, maybe there's hope for humanity, Daryl.
There's hope, I'm telling you. Anyway, I didn't want to bring this up, but I mean, did anybody see that 2000 Mules movie? It was free, it's like it got pirated enough. I don't want to change the subject, but just for a second. I think that brought a lot of awareness to a lot of people,
I didn't see it. I keep seeing it on Twitter, and I know the Dinesh D'Souza is the individual that put the movie together, and I know the premise because I actually saw some of that footage like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I haven't watched the movie yet, but I'm pretty sure some of that stuff surfaced. But what he did is he went and he like collated it, collected it, and did a whole bunch of stuff to basically look and say, look. We're being robbed, guys. We're being robbed. And let me tell you something too, by the way, like in those terms, right? They're like, oh, President Trump should still be President Trump. Like, by the way, President Trump was a douchebag. So just chalk that down to what I said. And by the way, and I'll admit this publicly, I've said to you guys in the past, I voted for the guy, right? Will I vote for him again? I'm not so fucking sure. I think I might actually vote for a meteor instead, right? Meteor 2024. Let's just fucking nuke this motherfucker and get it over with. Because, look, where we're at, like the polarization of the two, and the thing that was appealing to me, by the way, about him is he was obtuse. He was non-political in many ways. He wasn't trying to like tell everybody like what they wanted and like read the fucking things. He just fucking talked, and he was stupid, and he was like obtuse intentionally, and it was refreshing. And well, I was wrong. I was wrong. And so there you go. That's what I'm saying, right? It's like, hey, look, at some point you have to be like, fuck. That's why I've checked out. I've checked out politically. I've checked out, right? Like, again, I'm the guy. Look, and you guys will laugh at me. I'm the guy that voted for Obama and Trump, right? Like, there you go. I'm that fucking guy. And you know what? Finally, I realized, nope, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. They're all ruled. Yeah, they're all ruled by the rulers, whoever the fuck the rulers are. Yeah. And that's what I mean. So, yeah, go ahead.
They're all complicit. If they're not going to make a fuss right now, it just shows you that they're all complicit. You know, if they after the awareness of what happened, it's kind of like they had enough people researching this to fact check. You know, they really did their homework. You know, I got to give them credit. And I kind of I didn't believe it at first, but I'm kind of convinced now after what I witnessed. I'm like, wow, they were right. Maybe, you know, I think, but that's just my opinion. You got to see it though. It's a definitely must see. It was very well put together and very credible. I got to be honest, it was very credible
and very pro-Trump. Just to say that also, by the way.
It could be whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, I'm not going to recommend or anything, but I'll tell you this. Whoever is not a Republican or a Democrat is going to get my vote. I'm going to tell you. And if they've never been in politics, they're probably going to get my vote. I don't want to see any career politician, anybody that's been in any kind of political power. I want to see somebody really fresh in one of us, you know, somebody that will really represent us. Wouldn't that be refreshing?
It happens though. You know? It does happen if we're being real, it happens from time to time. But the actual end result of that is like somebody be like, hey, look, like those fuckers in Washington, they don't know what the fuck. I'm like a grassroots guy. Let's say me. Let's say me, for example, right? I'm pretty sure, Daryl, you vote for me. What'll happen is I'll get in there and I'll be like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And literally the entire system would ostracize me. They wouldn't fund me for like a re-election, and I'd be gone in like a term. Like that's what would happen, right? That's what would happen. So like
Jimmy Carter,
the shit doesn't stick. It doesn't stick, and this is what I mean. So like, in the sense that you think that the political system works, no. Like there are so many barriers to entry, and then not only do you have to like break through all the barriers, right? You have to get like the grassroots support. You have to get like the PAC support, like the corporation supports, but then you also have to, once you get in there, what they'll do is, if you're not like speaking their language, you're done anyway, right? Like everybody else is like against you. So what's the point? You're like one dissenting vote. You know how many people are in Congress, Daryl?
No, how many?
565, I believe, is the number. Right. So you break in a few, right? And this is the thing too, you know, the squad and AOC and all the rest of that. They're like, oh, they broke them in. They're about to change things progressively. It's going to be the thing. No, they shut them the fuck down too. Cause they're like, no, you ain't corporate Democrats. Get the fuck out of here. Right. And that's the way the world works. That's the way the world works. Even with a small group of like what, you know, I'm not going to say all the people want, but let's say that like some of the people want. No, you're shut down. Like, it's just the way politics works. It's a joke, and it's my own fallacy, and I was wrong, and I'm still wrong, and I'll continue to be wrong about this because, well, I'm human, and there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
There's something about Trump that I kind of admired was when he started firing everybody just because they disagreed with him. You know, maybe that wasn't a terrible idea. It's just fire everybody.
Daryl,
start all over.
Daryl, we got a new ticket. Yeah. We got a new ticket. Ready? Bernays Sauce in the chat says Cthulhu Shiva 2024. You voting for that? I'm on that ticket. That needs to be a fucking t-shirt. Bernays sauce, you're the best. Yeah, it's all garbage. Like, and honestly, this is the thing too. And I'm gonna cards on the table and fucking go ahead, come at me, bros. Come at me, bros. I'm voting for Trump again. You know why? Because I want to see it burn. I want to see it fucking burn. I want to see it burn. If he runs, I'm voting for him. Not because I think he was good or even anything. I just, like Axel Steele said, that, he's hey, look, if it's going to be garbage, we may as well have it hot burning garbage. Let's just fucking do that. Let's just fucking do that. And look, like I've checked out politically, I don't think it matters anymore. Honestly, I think that we're so far removed from that. Like you see that there's gatekeeper after gatekeeper after gatekeeper, and you see what they did to him politically. Go ahead, put me as that.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I agreed. It doesn't matter. I'm not even a MAGA guy. I'm just like, let's see it burn.
It's so fixed.
Let's see it burn. Daryl, let's throw some fucking fire in the dumpster, some gasoline in the dumpster, and see what happens. That's exactly how I feel anymore. I'm like, hey, look, you want to fuck us? Fuck you. Here's the guy you don't want. Here's the vote. Beep. Fuck that. And I think that's actually how we got it in the first place. By the way, they were like the population was like, fuck you. Yeah, but like I said, like it's broken. It's all broken. It's all broken. Go ahead, Daryl. Sorry.
I think it's just basically, is it up to Bill Gates now who gets elected? Like, who makes those decisions?
Exactly. You know? See,
he's gonna fix this. He's gonna fix it whatever he wants anyway. You know.
Yeah. And that's the sickest part about all of this. It's like, wait, so does any of this matter, right? It's like all about the billionaires who are just pumping the money in. And again, like if you say George Soros, they're like, oh, you're anti-Semitic. No, I hate Bill Gates too. What is exactly? What is that? Does that make me anti-Semitic still? Oh yeah. Because you're so no. Fuck George Soros. He's a lying piece of shit, right? He literally is trying to turn this country upside down. And by the way, when this country burns, you know who's going to be the god of gods? George Soros. He's the money changer. He's the fucking guy. He's the guy in the fucking Bible that fucking Jesus like rolled into the temple and like turned over the fucking tables of the money changers. That's George Soros. That's fucking him. Yeah, that's him. I'm not kidding you. Go check it out. If you don't believe me, look, I'm not like ideologically driven. I'll change my mind based on what's happening, right? I've always said this. I'm going to continue to say this. I'm not so stupid that I realize that like the as the wind blows, you should be able to like change your mind, or else you're the fool. So George Soros, by the way, just Google this: George Soros British pound or George Soros UK sterling. If you never actually know what that guy's about. The dude doesn't give a fuck about people, about anything. He wants to just burn countries, and he wants to make billions of dollars doing it. Go search it. Go search that yourself. It's all legitimate. It's all, and again, Michael Strange, you're anti-Semitic, you're a racist, you're that. Fuck off. Hey, call me and ask me, and we'll talk about it. And if you want to accuse me of such things, I've got a very long track record of telling you exactly my thoughts for a very long time. And there we go. What else you got, Daryl? We got James behind you. We got to finish up. Go ahead. Can
you imagine being rich enough to pretty much buy everybody's votes? I mean, everybody has a price. I mean, they just throw, like, if you're a leader, okay, you get billions of dollars. So that's one thing, Then if you're like, the clerk at the country store, if you throw them like $1,000, they'll probably do anything, Everyone has a price. So you have enough money that you could pretty much manipulate everybody. You're going to pay off the media. You're going to pay off the regulatory committees. I mean, you're going to totally corrupt everybody. Everybody's corruptible. It's just what is your price, And that's how much money they have. It's scary. They can actually pay everybody to do what they want.
Yeah, it's all real. What's up? Nice Talker says, pretty sure Trump is deeply in Soros's pocket. And it could be. And this is what I'm saying, right? Like that type of stuff is super, super deep in in obfuscation, right? And so if I was played, and this is the thing too, like what did Georgia, not Georgia, what's his name, Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool somebody than convince themselves they've been fooled. And look, I'm admitting right now on the fucking stream, I was probably fooled. And right, that's okay. That's okay, because guess what, right? So like tomorrow is better than yesterday because you can acknowledge those realities, right? And be able to change your mind. And so that's that. Look, you guys always know I've never like kind of come into this setting as like I'm the truth guy. I'm not. I'm fallible. I've always been. I'm human, just like you. And so, can I be fooled? Yes. Have I been? Yes. Will I continue to be? Yes. I'm on the ball with a lot of things, and a lot of other things I'm not. And so there you go. Here we are, Del. I don't fucking know. I wish I had answers, but that's too easy. That's propaganda, and that's where the money comes from. But hey, we're gonna keep doing it our way, right? We're gonna do it our way, and fuck the fuck off, and like, hey, if they I'm not gonna say it. I was about to say something really bad, so I'm not gonna say it. So we'll just yeah, there we go.
We'll have to say it later. I'm really
troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. You can come try and root me out for all the terrible things I'm going to say behind the scenes because I'm such a terrible guy. I'm going to say some fucked up No, I'm just kidding. You guys know. You guys know me. You guys know me.
I'm so grateful that you are having this discussion. I'm so grateful for any kind of alternative media. I mean, people really need to start talking more and discussing more. This is things that we need to. They can't be stuck in that in this one world that's so manipulated. I mean, it's scary how there are just some people you'll never be able to change their minds. It's just never going to happen, including people that are very close to me. You know, I'll discuss this later because APOC said something that was really amazing to me last night or the night before. She said, you know, if you see a train coming, are you going to save my life? I'm like, if you're right there, you will, you know. I'll push you out of the way. But what if you're 10 miles away? You know, what can you do?
You can't do anything. You can't do anything.
What can you do?
You can't do anything. That's the point. That's what I was saying earlier tonight too. It's like, hey, look, we can talk like till we're blue in the face, but what if shit doesn't change? You know what I mean? Like we're still just the plebs. We're the useless eaters. We're the individuals that are being controlled, right? Like at least, like I said, and I think it's important to admit, like me myself personally, you guys know, I've been fooled, and I admitted it, and I'm gonna tell you, but like the actual like percentage of the population that would actually say publicly to anybody, I just said it to everybody, right? And they'll use it against me, and they'll be like, "Oh, this motherfucker is a MAGA fuck," or whatever they're gonna say. No. No, I just was not into fucking Hillary Clinton calling me a racist, and it's important. It's an important thing, right? It's like, no, fuck you. Like, it's been Clintons and Bushes all my fucking life. What's the other alternative, right? Like, there's, and I was fooled. But what do you do, right? You like set yourself on fire and jump off a bridge? I ain't doing that either. I'm definitely not fucking doing that. So maybe next time I just won't vote. How about that? I'm going to write myself in next time, to be perfectly honest. How about that? Do we write-in campaign for Michael Strange? Fuck you, Michael Strange. All right. Daryl, you're the best. All right, give Daryl a follow. Links in the description. YouTube channel. Sings in English and French. She does karaoke actually on the Troubled Minds Discord. Go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. Come say hi. Come meet Daryl. Like I said, all the folks who are on this show, like, you guys know them. Like, there's you guys know it. Like, Daryl knows it. Like, people in the Discord know it. You'll get people pop in from time to time, new people we don't know yet, and they're like, I've been listening to all you guys for 6 fucking months, and I love all of you, right? Like, and so it's weird, right? Like, Daryl, you're a celebrity. You're a celebrity. We're a celebrity. Hey, we're talking to you.
You're the best, Michael. Thank you so much for talking about this. Thank you so much for being you and being here. And I'm so glad to be a part of anything that you do. Really, I'm just grateful for everybody that's in here, that's listening, that's called in. You're all great. I just really appreciate everybody.
Thank you. That's very kind, and you as well. Come join the Discord. Come meet Daryl. Come meet me. Come meet James. Come meet all the amazing people. All hours of the day and night too. There's people on there, and like I said, you hear them on the show, right? And we're talking about a topic. But come hear them off the cuff, just talking about what they ate for dinner and shit. Like you'll see, the people that are part of this show are more kind and thoughtful and generous than you'd ever consider. So please come say hi. These people are amazing. Let's go to. Speaking of amazing, kind, and generous people, let's go to James. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it. Let's go, James. Let's wrap this MFer up. What's up, brother? Are you still there?
Oh yeah, still here. First of all, I would never write you in on any kind of election ballot because I wouldn't want to do that to you. That'd
yeah, right.
Cruel.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like a punishment. Totally.
Yeah. That's all I'll say about that. Other than I agree with all the, like I always say, politics to me is just useless. But no, great topic, and I do agree with what Jen said earlier as well about all this and all the people that are, like when I was talking earlier about kind of a return to mythology and these different creatures. I'm not necessarily saying I think that it's for sure going to happen, or that we can't, people can't, the rest of humanity can't stop all that. It's really odd how that seems to be trending towards that in a way. But so that was my only other point there. I definitely, I'm not looking forward to that, any of that, or do I think that it's definitely going to happen. So, but yeah, no, great calls and great show as always. So thank you for having me again.
And you of course, my friend. James, link in the description. By the way, I'm gonna pull the thing up here. I'm gonna find this. James, I'm gonna find this fucking thing, and we're gonna do the thing. Let's see. Actually, you sent it to me. Let me find the thing. I'm gonna put it up on the stream here, so you can. All right, James has got an outro for us as well, but we got an actual like. We're using all my links. Here you go, and this is from James right here. I've got one as well, so we're doing this thing. So if you can see, if you go to allmylinks.com/Salcedo Paranormal, you can find, and this is the way you guys should do it, by the way. So if you want to share links, so the problem we were having with James, not in particular, but like most people that have multiple things to share, was that Tam Bam gave me a link tree sort of thing too. This is it, right? So right here on this actual one single link, you got James's author page. He writes some stuff you can buy on Amazon. He's an author, been writing for many years. He's got his podcast page. He's got his Discord server, his YouTube page, his Facebook page, and his Twitter all in one spot, right? And there you go. So I got one I put up too. And this is what it's all about, right? This is what it's all about. So if you want to share some of this stuff, and you guys have like Jennifer or Night Stalker or anybody else, if you guys have additional, you guys know, if you guys got links down below, Hydro Hose, you got it, Joseph, whatever, you let me know, and we'll do the thing. Here's mine. I got tons of links here. We got the ETH wallet, we got podcasts, we got my phone number 702-957-1037. You guys know the number. We got Patreon, there's the email, Discord, Rockfin, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. It's all fucking there, right? So you can build one little link page, and there we go. So you guys can buy James's books. We used to just be like pimping James's podcast, but he's got books too. Go buy some links buy some books from James on those links, and then there we go. And there's no actual like affiliate links, so I'm not like making like 2% off of James's books. So just so you know, I'm taking like 7% out of his ass instead.
Wait a minute. We never agreed to that.
Wait, hey, man. I just made the terms publicly. It's binding. Sorry, sir.
I think you know what I'd say to that.
I know exactly.
I'll be nice.
All right, that's fine. I'll be nice too. I was only joking. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I know you were. I know that you know that I know that you know. All right, here we're gonna do. We're gonna play some music, and we're gonna get an outro from James. James is Salcedo Paranormal, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. It's a good friend of yours. You just don't know it yet. Come say hi. Come meet us. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Come meet James. His Discord is linked in there regularly as well. You got his links. All right. So here's the thing, right? James has an outro for us. So let's do this fucking thing. It goes a little something like this.
Nature is not a place to visit. It is home. And there's no author here, but that's the quote.
There you go. Nature is not a place to visit. It is home. And if we don't treat it like that, guess what? We're going to be like the dirty ones in squalor as the elites fly up to the fucking space station with the pools and the supermodels and all the bullshit, the finest food you can eat. Well, see, think about that. In many terms, they have to resupply that shit. And if we're down here in squalor, can we stop them from resupplying that shit? It seems like if we're smart, that prison becomes theirs. Elysium future. All right, so get the fuck out of here. All right, look, don't think less of me. Oh, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Think less of me. You know why? Because I'll be back tomorrow talking about other crazy shit. Because it's what I do. Look, hey, it's what I do. I'm here talking, all right? But the thing is, look, I don't know, James. I don't know what to say, man.
I just think you say what you usually say.
Okay, all right. It goes like this. If you want to help the show, a few ways. Sub up on Twitch, Patreon, or Rockfin. Easy ways to do that if you want to spend some money. If you want like sweet Troubled Minds swag merch, you can go to troubledfans.com. You will not find me oiled up on a fuzzy couch, but you will find at troubledfans.com sweet hats, shirts, stickers, mouse pads, other stuff, and more stuff coming. Do that. If you don't want to spend money, but you do love the show, spread the word. That's the most important thing. Thank you for spending your time and energy here. I can't thank you guys enough. And the other way to help as well is to just listen to the podcast feed. We've got over 400 episodes on the podcast feed, and I'm the only one in this whole fucking world, prove me wrong, that's heard every episode of Troubled Minds. Trust me, there's gold, and then there are RSS feeds, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. It's all free. It helps the show because it gives me like 3 cents every time you listen to one. So please do that, and there you go. And as the Robert says over on Rockfin, once you put the Troubled Minds hat on, it kicks your brain into overdrive, right? You're just like, holy shit, I thought my maybe juice action was on point, but then you put the Troubled Minds hat on and your brain starts to burn. Troubledfans.com. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. It goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.